It's another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive, the Odyssey app. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very excited to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. The Royals are off today. We have a lot of NFL schedule to get into. We did this last year, and a lot of you guys liked this, so we are going to bring it back again. We are going to interview somebody that covers every team that is on the Chiefs schedule. The Chiefs schedule is now official. It has been released. We'll get to it here coming up in just a bit, but we are going to, in order, go down the Chiefs schedule, and we are going to interview somebody that covers every team that the Chiefs play this season. We will begin in Los Angeles and the Los Angeles Chargers. They play the Chargers in Brazil to kick off their season. We'll do that here coming up in just a bit. Before we do that, I want you guys to do me a couple of favors. Number one, I need you listening to The Drive each day at 2 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan. I also need you guys to tell one friend about the show. Not two friends. It'd be great if you guys could tell two friends about the show, but you know what? Beggars won't be choosers. If you guys could simply tell one person to check out the show, you know what? I would appreciate that very much. So this is where I would like to begin when it comes to the Chiefs schedule. There are a lot of messages that I think you can pick up based on how the NFL prioritizes this thing. I think the schedule is a great indication of who they think is hot, who they think is it, who they think drives the needle, and also a reflection of who they think is going to be good for this upcoming season. They are in the business of trying to put the best teams, the best games, and try to get the biggest number that they possibly can. Kansas City got 7 standalone primetime games, and we're not even talking about the 325 games. We are just talking about games that have their own exclusive window. I'm talking about Thanksgiving. I'm talking about the game in Brazil, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Christmas Day. They have 7 of those games. That does not include the game against Philadelphia in week 2. That is the home opener for Kansas City. That is a 325 game on CBS. We have done this television thing enough to know you have the 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl, and that game is going to be on CBS. 100% of the country is going to have access to that game, and it's going to do a massive number. So even though it doesn't count as a primetime game, even though it doesn't count as a nationally televised games, we know how the NFL television contract works. That is absolutely a nationally televised primetime standalone game. So that doesn't even factor into the 7 that we are talking about. Let's talk about the Thanksgiving game because I think that is a crown jewel of this schedule. This is a really, really exciting schedule. You're going to see the Chiefs really challenged once again this year. You start in Brazil against a team in your division. You then come back home to open up your season against the team that beat you in the Super Bowl last year. You got Buffalo on this schedule. You got Houston on this schedule. Detroit is on this schedule. This is a really fun and competitive schedule. But the most important game, the biggest game on the schedule is the honor that it is to play on Thanksgiving. That's the marquee regular season day for the National Football League. Here is Mike North. He oversees putting the schedule together. Here is what he had to say about why the NFL chose Kansas City and Dallas on Thanksgiving.
All credit for that goes to Hans Schroeder, our boss, the guy who runs the scheduling process. He had the idea kind of really early in the process, to which, of course, the rest of us said, no, you don't need to do that. We don't go big on Thanksgiving. You don't have to. But his point, kind of like we were saying before, is, we have so many good matchups. You just look at the Kansas City schedule, right? And they play Dallas, and they play Philly, and they play Washington, and Detroit, and Buffalo, and Baltimore, and so many good Chiefs games. You could afford to spend one of the big ones, and it probably doesn't get any bigger in the league right now than KC Dallas. They're the 2 most viewed teams in the league. That's where most of our top games, what are we, 93 of the top 100 most watched games? Good chunk of those are Cowboys and Chiefs games. Put them together, put them on Thanksgiving. Maybe we can get Taylor to sing the national anthem. We can get people involved beyond just us avid hardcore football fans who are going to watch anything.
Mike North told you what it is right there. The 2 most popular television shows in the country right now are the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. The NFL had 93 of the top 100 most watched television broadcasts last year. Kansas City and the Cowboys are up and down that list. Whether it is the Super Bowl, whether it is the AFC Championship game, the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, you had the opportunity to combine the two strongest brands right now in the National Football League, and you have the opportunity to put those two things together and do something really, really special. The record right now for the most watched regular season game is 42.1 million viewers. That is a Cowboys Thanksgiving game. If they are entertaining the possibility of Taylor Swift singing the national anthem, if they are entertaining the possibility of having the biggest pop star in the world be at the center of what they have planned, and you have the two most popular television shows coinciding with one another, they are going for an astronomical number. We're talking about AFC, NFC championship games. We're talking about bigger than most playoff games if those are the things that they are thinking about putting together. I give the NFL a lot of credit here. This is them thinking big. It doesn't get any bigger than this. No one is arguing and debating if Dallas is one of the best teams in the league, but they drive interest, and America turns in to watch the Dallas Cowboys. They also turn in to watch the Kansas City Chiefs. The NFL just told you that. They got 7 standalone primetime games. That's not even counting the 325. If you don't live in the Kansas City area, it doesn't matter. You have a Sunday ticket package to watch the Chiefs every single week, and we already know that they're driving the ratings. Look at the team. Look at the opponents that they have. They play Philadelphia 325 on CBS. They play the Ravens 325. They play the Bills 325. They play the Lions on Sunday Night Football. I'm talking about the best teams in the league. You get to see all of these teams matched up against Kansas City. The Chiefs will continue to break records from a rating standpoint. And there is one big record, the most watched regular season game of all time. And it looks like the NFL is certainly gunning for that record. And I'm going to guess that they get there. There is another thing that really stood out to me when it comes to the schedule, not just from a Chiefs or Cowboys perspective, but from the NFL as a whole. Look at the Minnesota Vikings. The league has been trying to have teams play back-to-back international games. They've never asked that team to travel again. You go to London, you go to Germany, and you stay there for the 2 weeks. They are asking the Vikings to go overseas, and then they're asking them to travel and play in 2 separate international locations. Here is Mike North of the NFL explaining why this was part of the process.
It came about reaching out to the team kind of mid-March when we sort of had our feet underneath us. We had a structure in place for the schedule. We kind of knew, where we were using some of the games, what our initiatives were going to be, what our strategy was going to be. Like we said, Hans's idea to go big on Thanksgiving, still working through some of the other deals with Netflix, YouTube, Peacock. So there were still some moving parts. But when we got into the international games, I basically reached out to all the teams and said, Vikings, you see the schedule. You know Pittsburgh's hosting a game in Dublin. You know you are a road opponent for the Steelers this year. There's a chance you could be chosen to go to Ireland. Subsequent phone call. Hey, Vikings, you know you're playing the Browns this year. They're hosting a game in London. You know you're a possible opponent to play the Browns in London this year. And it was actually Commissioner Goodell who said, you think they'd want to do both? And I said, absolutely not. No chance. But I called him and I talked to him, and they went from open-minded to willing to kind of eager. And so kind of partnered up with them, figured out a way to innovate, try something new here. And they worked with our ops team. And I don't know all the details. I don't know if they're going to stay in Ireland after the Steelers game and then go over to the UK, or leave Ireland and go to the UK. But they're going to spend the week over there, and it'll be a good test for us.
The NFL is planning something. I don't know what, but I'm telling you that the NFL is planning something big. They continue to push the international mission. The mission has only expanded. It has gone from just London to now we are playing games in multiple countries. We've got Brazil, we've got Germany, we've got Ireland. We are now asking teams to stay over there for 2 days. We're now asking teams to travel internationally once they get over there and play games in multiple locations. This is all a case study. This is all the league building and working towards something. There's not much that you can give internationally you can't give them postseason games. You're already giving them regular season games. I don't know if this is building towards creating a special season ticket package for international viewers that they get the same amount of home games that you would in Green Bay, that you would in Los Angeles, that you would in Dallas, and creating a season ticket package. I don't know if this is about creating a separate television window where we're going to see every week there's going to be a team that plays that early morning game and you create a streaming only window. I don't know if the plan is to have one of these cities eventually end up hosting the Super Bowl and you were just trying to get as much logistics as you possibly can to try to figure out how the logistics would work in all of this. But we know enough about the NFL and how calculated they can be. This is not all random. This was an idea that was proposed from the commissioner of the National Football League about how they want to handle this schedule. So it is certainly something to keep an eye on. The two big stories for me, as we have now seen the NFL schedule in its entirety, is how the league feels about Kansas City and also the league's continued expansion when it comes to their international mission and vision. Today, we are going to take a stop at every team that the Chiefs play this season in their schedule. We have to start in Los Angeles. We have to start in Brazil, where the Chiefs play their Week 1 game against the Chargers. That's coming up. Keep it right here, so drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the 965 YouTube channel. The Drive, brought to you by DM Entry Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Entry Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 965, The Fan.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education, but that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion, or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
If the high cost of living is weighing you down, lighten your load at Hy-Vee. This Saturday and Sunday, get a 25-cent per gallon fuel discount with every $50 purchase. Stock up on groceries and stack up the fuel savings. Earn 25 cents per gallon with your $50 purchase, 50 cents per gallon with a $100 purchase, and so on. The more you spend, the more you'll save. Your next fill-up could be free. Don't miss the 2-day Fuel Saver event this Saturday and Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
Graduation season is always so busy around our house, and when we have important celebrations, we trust Hy-Vee. They're my go-to partner for all of our family celebrations, and Hy-Vee can help you with your graduation party planning. They have party trays, personalized cakes, cookies, floral arrangements, party decor, and so much more. Plus, you can leave all the prep work and messy cleanup to Hy-Vee with full-service catering for any size celebration. Choose from a wide range of menu options to suit your style and your budget, only at Hy-Vee.
Real Stories with Hellsberg.
After we met and we started dating, Nancy and I lived 150 miles apart, and I would drive my old jalopy car, and it was roughly a 3-hour distance. It took 3 years I drove across that state, back and forth, dating her every weekend.
Persistence.
And I would have never stopped. I had a lot of energy back then, 36 years ago.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Dominate your fantasy baseball league with Fantasy Baseball Today, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Join Scott White, Chris Towers, and me, Frank Stamfel, every weekday as we recap every player from every game. We'll get you the latest news, waiver wire adds and drops, trades to make, prospect promotions, and everything else you need to take down your league. Follow and listen to Fantasy Baseball Today on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into The Drive. Throughout the show today, we are going to take a stop at every city that the Chiefs have on their schedule. Week 1 of the NFL schedule, the Chiefs play the Los Angeles Chargers. No, this game is not at Arrowhead. This game is also not at SoFi Stadium. This game is going to be played in Brazil. Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, we're also going to head to Philadelphia to be joined by Elias Shore Parks. The Chiefs' home opener this season is Week 2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's start our journey with Fernando Ramirez. He covers the Chargers for the Sporting Tribune. Fernando, really appreciate your time.
Hola, obrigado por me recibir no seguir programa. Thank you for having me on your show in Portuguese. Just trying to take it above and beyond there.
You know what? I looked at my producer when you started talking, and I looked at him like, hey, what's going on here? I was real confused there for a second, man.
I try to use my Spanish to help me with the Portuguese.
You know what? I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you popping on the show today. Let's start with this. There are 128 divisional games in an NFL season. There's only one of them that is played at a neutral site this year. How do you feel about the fact that the Chargers gave up a home game in their division against the toughest team in their division against Kansas City for Week 1?
Yeah, that was a little strange, especially because you saw the reports that they just that was pretty interesting to see them do that, but I definitely interesting matches. I mean, those teams.
Hey Rob, let's call him back. Let's hang up the phone and call him back. All right, here we'll call Fernando back. I couldn't hear him. I couldn't understand his answer. He sounded like a transformer. Wasn't really sure what was going on there. We'll try to get Fernando back on the show and try to get a better connection for you guys. So there are 128 divisional matchups in the NFL season. There's only one of them that is going to be played at a neutral site, and that is the Week 1 game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Now, I think it is very fair to note in all of this, the Chargers are not a team with a traditional strong home field advantage. We are not talking about the Packers giving up a home game or the Steelers giving up a home game. We're talking about the Chargers. Now, I am very surprised that the Chargers didn't protect this game against Kansas City. Now, maybe they didn't protect it because they're simply tired of watching Chiefs fans come in and take over their building. But you would think for a game that means as much as this one, I'm a little bit surprised that the Chargers didn't do more to try to protect this game. Let's go back to the phone lines and be joined by Fernando Ramirez, who covers the Los Angeles Chargers. Fernando, you there?
Yeah, I apologize for that. I moved locations.
No worries, man. It's certainly a better connection now. We were talking about the fact that there is only one divisional matchup this season in the league that is played internationally, and that is this game. How surprised are you that the Chargers didn't protect this game and they're sending this game to Brazil?
I'm very surprised because, head coaches, especially guys like Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, they want to protect their they always talk about the division. The divisional games are the most crucial when it comes to winning the division, obviously. And to see them let this go international, it was kind of surprising. But Chargers and Chiefs have done it before in 2019 when Phillip Rivers threw 4 interceptions in Mexico City. And for some reason, the Chargers still had an opportunity to tie it at the end. But obviously, he threw a pick to Daniel Sorensen in the end zone. But, yeah, no, I'm very surprised, especially with how tight I think a lot of people think the AFC West is going to be this year.
Fernando, I don't know about you, but this is something that we've already started to discuss and talk about on this show is there's one thing I can guarantee about this game. It's that the field is going to be in bad conditions. It's bad that you and I potentially know this about this game, and we're talking about we got, 3 months until these two teams play each other, and I know the field's not going to be in good shape.
Travis Kelce said it on his podcast, and then his brother Jason told him, yeah, the field was pretty bad last year when these guys went to Brazil, and the NFL still knowingly is letting them go down there. So, and then Travis even said the humidity is going to be bad. It's going to be a pain in the butt. And for the Chargers, it kind of helps them out because they go to Miami and they go to Jacksonville. So it's definitely going to help them with the humidity and everything, kind of get prepared for that. But, yeah, I hope this isn't a slip and slide kind of game where somebody's breaking free and then all of a sudden they slip on the turf or on the field or whatever. And then potentially last year we saw Jordan Love got hurt at the end of that game and it cost him a couple weeks. So, hopefully for these guys it's going to be get in there, get a win, but try and get out of there healthy because we know that field is not even though Joe Ortiz told us a couple weeks ago, we've been assured that the field's going to be better. But, your word, the word only counts, only goes so far when it comes to fields and everything. We know that from past experiences.
Fernando, I'm here to tell you that I've given up on Justin Herbert. I tried to hold on for the longest time. I believed and I believed and I believed. And the fact that we're at this stage in his career and he doesn't have one playoff win and he has played very poorly in both of those games has got me off of the wagon. Where are you at with Justin Herbert? There's no denying the physical traits. There's no denying the numbers that he has put up so far. Yeah. But he has like a James Harden-like quality once we get to the postseason.
I understand it from that point of view, but it took Peyton Manning 6 years until he kind of reached his the potential that obviously everybody had seen in the playoffs, and Herbert's going into a 6th year. I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning, but sometimes there's late bloomers. I can tell you from experience, I didn't think I was going to get into college until around senior year. So late bloomers, sometimes we go ahead and we end up with 2 degrees and a master's. Nobody thought would have happened, but hey, here we are telling the story. But yeah, no, I think with Justin last year it was the Jim and Joe, and I'm not trying to make any excuses, but they kind of had to grab popsicle sticks, glue, and everything they could to kind of piece that team together. They had no money, and that was the thing. They had to make a lot of cuts. They let go of Keenan Allen. His best receiver was a second-round receiver from Georgia, Ladd McConkey, and then there was a huge gap between the next playmaker on that offense. There's games where I go back and I watch some of the film, and it's only Ladd McConkey that was making plays for them, besides obviously J.K. Dobbins. But it's pretty impressive that the Chargers were able to win 11 games with Ladd being their number one receiver. Now, they've added some pieces. They brought back Mike Williams. They've added some pieces around the offense. And then obviously the offensive line, the interior was really bad last year. Herbert, there were some games where he was taking a beating. Last year was his first year under Harbaugh. Before that, he had Brandon Staley, and we all know how Brandon Staley's tenure went as a Chargers head coach. But I still think that Justin is a very talented quarterback. I think he's the leader of this team, along with Derwin James. And I'm gonna reserve one more year to kind of see what he can piece together, because you never know. I mean, he could end up surprising everybody this season, especially with some of the weapons that the Chargers have added for him.
Right now, we're talking to Fernando Ramirez. He covers the Chargers for Sporting Tribune. We are going through the Chiefs' schedule. We're going to head to Philadelphia here coming up in just a bit. That is the Week 2 opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers are the season opening game. That game is in Brazil. You mentioned some of the changes that the Chargers have gone through. Where do you think we have seen the biggest improvement with Los Angeles?
I mean, I'd have to go with weapons, but obviously they're not proven yet, because they did draft Trey Harris from Ole Miss, and they drafted Keandre Lambert-Smith, who people have said that he's a really speedy receiver. So you kind of got two receivers there that are unproven. I'd have to go defensive line. They've got some young guys that are very unproven, but they have Tier Tart, who they brought back. Naquan Jones they brought in. They brought in some other tools. They're not the biggest names, but they're guys that contribute, and they're going to be able to help stop the run. That was something that the Chargers improved in last year. They were terrible with Brandon Staley, allowed over 120 yards all 3 seasons, but last year they had improved. They want to take the next step this year and get even better, especially because they know that there are some great running backs in the division. There's some good running backs in the division, but they're going to face some great ones like Saquon Barkley late in the year. So I think defensive line is kind of their biggest, where they've kind of gotten better as the offseason has kind of progressed, and also with the draft. So I would have to say defensive line, which is obviously, we all know, Jim Harbaugh wants his offensive and defensive lines to be a lot better, and to kind of be what leads this team.
Last year, the Chargers won 11 games. They went 11-6. Do you feel that the Chargers are ready to take that next step, not just in the division, and can compete with Kansas City for the AFC West, but the AFC is Kansas City, it's Buffalo, it's Baltimore? Do you feel like the Chargers are ready to take that step to be in that conversation with those 3 teams I named?
I mean, I think it's Kansas City, gap, Buffalo, and Baltimore. But no, I think they're the thing is, there's a lot of unknowns. Like I said, they're going to depend on a lot of young players like they did last year. Last year, they were able to get 4 starters out of the draft. Are they going to be able to get 4 playmakers, 4 starters out of this draft? That's what I don't know yet, but I think they're close to kind of being there. The thing is, they're going to have to win and get into the playoffs and actually win a playoff game or 2 to really solidify. But year 2 in Jim Harbaugh usually is when his team in the past has taken that next step. So I don't know if they're ready to take on the Chiefs for the division, just because we've seen it 9 straight years, and before that it was 4 or 5 years of the Denver Broncos. Heck, they haven't won the division since LaDainian Tomlinson was still the running back of the Chargers. So it's tough to say about the AFC West, but I think they're close in being there to be able to be a consistent playoff team, like we've seen Baltimore be, like we've seen Buffalo be, and then obviously Kansas City has been a championship level team now for about 5 years.
That is Fernando Ramirez joining us on the show today. He does fantastic work for the Sporting Tribune covering the Los Angeles Chargers. That is where the Chiefs kick off their season. They play the Chargers in week 1 of the NFL season. They also play them in week 15. I'm guessing it's going to be really warm for the first game. It's going to be really cold in December whenever Los Angeles comes back to Kansas City. Fernando, man, really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for popping on today.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. Anytime you guys need me, I'm always available. So appreciate you guys, and have a good rest of your guys' week.
Absolutely. That is Fernando Ramirez joining us on the show today. The Chiefs have 4 12 o'clock games this season. They play the Raiders at 12 o'clock. They play the Colts at 12 o'clock, the Chargers, and the Tennessee Titans. Those are their 4 noon games this season. The Chiefs don't play a game at noon until week 7 when they play the Las Vegas Raiders. It's almost like they consulted me before they made this schedule. This is exactly the schedule I would make for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got a game on Friday. They got a lot of 325s and Sunday night footballs and Monday night football. Oh, I'm telling you right now, I can't wait to watch Red Zone. I can't wait to see the smiling face of Scott Hansen dancing on my television screen, Rob, as we are celebrating 8 NFL games all happening at the exact same time. So we are going through the Chiefs' schedule. We just left week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Now let's head to week 2. This game's a little bit different. This game is going to be the home opener for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it is a team that you guys are certainly familiar with the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by Elliott Shore-Parks. He is with 94 WIP in Philadelphia, one of the most popular sports talk stations in the country. Elliott, happy to have you on the show again. Now, I'll say this. The text line won't give you any credit for it, and I get why they won't give you any credit for it, but you came on this show back in February and kind of told us how the Super Bowl was going to play itself out. People called you an Eagles homer. People said you didn't know what you were talking about. You were kind of right about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think Eagles fans are probably happy about that. Look, it was certainly, even I can say, a larger blowout than I expected. But yeah, I think you saw in that game, and I said this prior, like the next great rivalry in sports is Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I think at this point they should be viewed on somewhat of the same level. You look at Jalen outplaying him in 2 Super Bowls. You look at Jalen beating him in 2023. So, yeah, I mean, I think rivalries are great for the sport between teams, but when you get it between 2 great players, I think that's even better. So I think the Super Bowl was another chapter in what should be a long rivalry.
It was just one of those things to me, Elliott, that it was one of those styles makes fights. I've watched every Patrick Mahomes game. Buffalo doesn't really match up that great against Kansas City in the postseason. Baltimore doesn't match up that great against Kansas City. But it's something about Philadelphia and what they did to me. It wasn't really a fluke. I remember a couple of years ago that D-line talked about the field and felt like the field was a major factor in why they couldn't get after the quarterback. And I think a lot of people heard that as excuses. But we saw on a perfect field, very even for both teams, we saw Philadelphia really line up defensively well against Kansas City, and Jalen Hurts. To me, he proved that his success is not a fluke against this defense and against Steve Spagnuolo. I just saw the Eagles as a team that Kansas City has the advantage over a lot of teams. They don't really have many advantages over Philadelphia.
Well, I would agree with that. I think 1 through 53, you can see the Eagles roster is considerably more talented than the Chiefs roster. But I do think that the Super Bowl itself, to me, one thing I probably didn't completely see coming, but I think was very clear on the field, is that the Eagles were never losing that game. They were so motivated by that loss in 2022. And you're right, the defensive line played great. They certainly got after Patrick Mahomes. But I would view that, yes, a matchup thing in some ways, because I think they have better defensive linemen than the Chiefs had offensive linemen. But having been around the team all year, I can just tell people in Kansas City that Super Bowl loss in 2022 sat with the Eagles from the minute that game ended in Arizona. So when that ball was kicked off in New Orleans, I just think the Eagles were coming with a level of anger and revenge that the Chiefs clearly weren't ready for.
Right now, we're talking to Elliott Shore-Parks. He is the Eagles insider for 94 WIP in Philadelphia. The Chiefs play the Eagles in their home opener in week 2. I'm looking at the depth chart. What's new about this Eagles team, at least from the offensive perspective? We'll get to the defense in just a bit, but this looks like a very familiar cast of characters to me.
Yeah, so they'll have a new right guard. Mekhi Becton went and signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. So there you're looking at a Tyler Steen, Kenyon Green. That spot is a question mark. But the biggest change on offense would be the coordinator. They lost Kellen Moore to New Orleans. They promoted from within, hiring Kevin Patullo in that job. They lost their quarterback coach. So there's been some turnover on the offensive coaching staff. But I think one thing the Eagles would tell you is they are leaning on continuity. They're going to have 10 of the 11 same starters on offense. While Patullo is a new coordinator, he was hired from within. So I don't love the idea of promoting from within on the offensive side of the ball. I think a fresh set of ideas would have been good for a team where all offseason everyone's going to be studying how to stop the Eagles specifically. But without question, the talent on offense alone, I mean, as the Chiefs found out, is pretty unstoppable.
What did you guys make of the entire controversy around the tush push? It felt very polarizing. I think there's a group of people that have the, hey, if you don't like it, stop it. And then I think there is a lot of people, to me, are hiding behind the veil of player safety. You're just mad that one team is better at something than you, so you're trying to figure out a way to stop it. What was it like to be in the middle of the controversy around this play?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summarized it well. I think the Eagles would tell you that they designed the play. They're great at the play. If you look at other teams around the league, they run the play. They don't run it as well. Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills has been one of the largest opponents of the tush push. He ran it the second most times in the league last year. So, for him to bring up player safety feels a little bit hypocritical when he runs the play quite a bit himself. But I think ultimately what this is going to come down to is they just don't like the way the play looks. Like that is what it is. I understand the player safety thing, although there's not much data on their side. I'll never fault somebody for, prioritizing player safety. But ultimately, this is an aesthetics thing. They don't like the way it looks. And I think it will probably be removed. But I think what the league is going to find out is, yeah, the tush push, it's got a nice name, and the pushing aspect of it is a little unique. Ultimately, they convert a large percentage of those plays because they have the best offensive line of football, and they have the best quarterback at running the ball, certainly from a sneak perspective in the league. So I still expect them, tush push or not, to convert a high percentage of their short yardage situations.
You mentioned some of the changes on offense, and there weren't a whole lot on offense. What are the changes for the Eagles defense heading into next season?
Yeah, I think Chiefs fans will like what they're about to hear. The Eagles lost Josh Sweat, who arguably could have been MVP of that game. Milton Williams, who had an outstanding game in that Super Bowl. He's now with the New England Patriots. Darius Slay is gone. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is gone. They have had some turnover on the defensive side of the ball. Now, they still enter the league year with a ton of talent. They have the two young corners in Cooper and Quinion. Zach Bond, who was one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates last year, he is back. And Jalen Carter, I think, can make an argument for the best defensive player in football. So they definitely lost some guys, but they still have a ton of talent on that side of the ball.
Looking at the NFC, I think people know who the contenders are in the NFC East. I think people know who the contenders are in the NFC as a whole. Do you see a team as maybe a surprise team that could challenge the Eagles at the top of the conference, or is it going to be the same usual suspects that it's been from last season?
So I don't think this team will challenge for a Super Bowl, but I do think in the Eagles' own division, people are probably sleeping on the Dallas Cowboys just a little bit. Washington, obviously, I think what they did last year, they certainly deserve to go into the year viewed as a Super Bowl contender. But it is really, really hard to be good year after year in the NFL, and they have not yet proven that they can repeat success. So I'm a little skeptical of Washington going into the year. Dallas, do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, of course not. Do I think they could win a playoff game? Probably not. But do I think they could win 10, 11, 12 games and challenge the Eagles, where all of a sudden they're one of the top seeds in the NFC? Yeah, I do think that could happen. So outside of that, Packers, Lions, Vikings, like the normal cast of characters in the NFC. But I think with Dak Prescott missing so much time last year, people have forgotten that when he plays, the Cowboys are a very good regular season team.
So right now there are 4 teams in the NFL that have an over-under of 11.5. Buffalo, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Baltimore. When it comes to the Eagles, are we just talking about injuries? Is there anything else that you think could keep this team out of the postseason? Or are we looking at a team that if they stay healthy, and that's always a big question mark in the NFL, the Eagles are going to be right there competing for another championship?
Yeah, I think it's just the Super Bowl hangover. I don't think looking at the roster, you can point to a fatal flaw. They need a right guard to step up. But even if he doesn't, that they still have a pretty outstanding offensive skill set overall. You have to replace Darius Slay at that number 2 corner spot. But when you have Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, your secondary is pretty good. So it really, to me, just comes down to, can they overcome the Super Bowl hangover? That really, for every team besides the Chiefs and the Patriots of the past 20 years, has been like a real thing. So that would really be the only concern. But if they come locked in and they're ready to go, like they are not going to lose many games.
I don't know about you, Elliot. I'm surprised that this game is so early in the season. This felt like a week 7, week 8 to me, not week 2.
Yeah, I think it's a very disappointing place on the schedule for this game. I would have loved to see it later in the season. I would have loved the hype to build up. I understand if you get it in week 2, in theory, there's a better chance everyone's healthy. And I think whenever the Eagles and Chiefs play, it's an awesome game. So I'm not going to complain about the matchup. But week 2 to me just feels like it's undermining what a big game this is. I know it couldn't have been week 1 because they opened at home, but if you're going to do it early in the year, then it should start the season with it. Or if you can't do that, then do it later in the year. Week 2 to me feels like a very disappointing result for where this landed.
And that is Elliot Shore-Parks joining us on the show today. He is with 94 WIP in Philadelphia, one of the best sports talk stations in the country. He is the Eagles insider. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, and they will be at Arrowhead week 2 in a Super Bowl rematch. Elliot, great stuff as always, man. We'll catch up with you later this summer.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
The NBA semifinals are here, and that means all the show-stopping action continues and even gets turned up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. Want to see if that guy's hitting his over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the FanDuel app. And once the game starts, that's when things really get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 wager, all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com, use my promo code KFNZ to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued with nominal drawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after street restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Has your home been on the market without success? An expired listing can feel frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. The Sharp Homes team specializes in turning things around. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. In fact, contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. You can Google them at Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleInKC.com and start packing.
Get ready for summer's heat with a $69 AC tune-up from Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Our expert technicians will make sure your system is working at peak efficiency to help you save money on energy costs. At Hamilton, we know how important your family's comfort is. Our exceptional service guarantee, plus over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Visit callhamilton.com for detailed terms and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
For over 8 years, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain, with over 50,000 satisfied patients. People with knee and back pain now living pain-free. Shoulder and hip pain gone. What they're doing is nothing short of remarkable. They're using regenerative cell therapy to restore the tissue in their achy joints. They're using biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life. The best part, with QC Kinetics, there are no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. It's an all-natural cellular level option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoy this summer without being slowed down by that awful joint pain in your knees or your back. Call QC Kinetics now and learn about these cutting-edge treatments that can help you live your best life. Call 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. It's QC Kinetics.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Have you tried hands-free Skechers slip-ins yet? Because if you haven't, you're missing out on technology that changes how you think about shoes. First, these are not just regular slip-on shoes. They're not just a pair of loafers without laces. But what makes them different is the technology inside that lets you just step into them. There's a built-in hidden shoehorn that slides your foot in, so they look, feel, and wear just like a pair of shoes you're used to. Except you don't have to bend down, struggle to put them on, or touch them. Try them at a Skechers Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Summer's better with True Green, especially at a price this low. For a limited time, get 75% off your first treatment and enjoy your lawn without overspending. With True Green, you get expert care and a plan tailored to fit your lawn's needs, so it looks best while you save big. Let the pros handle the hard work while you enjoy the results, relax more, and keep more money in your pocket. A great lawn has never been this easy or this affordable. Sign up now at truegreen.com. Restrictions apply.
This afternoon, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 82.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
Follow the station on Instagram at TheFan965 for giveaways and behind-the-scenes content.
We continue to go through the Chiefs' schedule that is out now in its entirety. Week 3 of the NFL season. The Chiefs travel to MetLife to take on the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. That is also the Giants' home opener. Let's be joined right now by Sean Marash, who does afternoons for WFAN in New York, the most popular sports talk station in the country. Sean, happy to have you pop on with us today, man.
Thanks so much, Carrington. What's going on? You guys ready to spoil our home opener already or what?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a game, the Chiefs have a lot of difficult games on their schedule. They play the Lions, they play the Eagles, they go on the road and play Buffalo. They also go on the road to play the Giants. I'm not worried about that game.
No, look, you shouldn't be, right? I think there's a lot of us here in New York who are internally optimistic about the direction of the Giants. They are going to have a more talented roster than they have the past couple of years. They've upgraded the quarterback, although none of us love Russell Wilson. We're on Jackson Dart watch. We're ready to see Abdul Carter. That'll be his first ever home game in front of the home crowd and go nuts. But look, I'd be lying if I told you, Carrington, when the schedule comes out and the Giants don't have a home game until week 3, and it's the Chiefs, and it's in freaking prime time where the Giants have been laughed out of the building plenty of times. There was a little disgruntledness from Giants fans as the schedule was released, and we saw it was the big bad Chiefs coming to ruin the home opener.
So let's talk about the quarterback situation right now for the New York Giants, a completely renovated room. You have Russell Wilson, who looks like he's going to be the starter, Jameis Winston as the backup. They also drafted Jackson Dart. We'll get to Jackson Dart in just a little bit. You alluded to it some there with Russell Wilson. I actually think Russell has proven himself to be a capable quarterback. If we are removing the 1 year that he had with Hackett in Denver, he's been fine. Sure, he's not the Russell Wilson that we saw in Seattle. He's not one of the upper tier, upper echelon starters in the league. But you can be viable. You can be competitive with Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback.
Oh, make no question. That is basically the bar. We're just looking to be competitive now. The Giants have had, some of the league worst quarterback play the last couple of years. Obviously, Daniel Jones became a running punchline. Drew Lock last year. Tommy DeVito over the past couple of years. So this is an upgraded quarterback room. And frankly, seeing Malik Neighbors in a year number 2 and the Giants running back room with directing Cam Scattaboo and adding that to Tyrone Tracy, there's a reason for optimism with the offense, and I think specifically at the quarterback position. The one thing that we can bank on with Russell Wilson early in the season, particularly versus you guys in week 3, there's a familiarity there and just like the calming confidence that the moment shouldn't be too big in that spot. Now, does that mean the Giants go become a 30-point-per-game team? Of course not. But for the Giants, who could generate 0 explosive plays, I mean, Daniel Jones afraid to throw the ball down the field. I am anxious to see what they do with these wide receivers and Brian Dable finally being able to have some plays called, the likes of which he likes. So I do think the Giants will be spunkier and more competitive, and I don't necessarily think they're going to get bowled over in this game. But, look, to start the year, you could do much worse than Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback.
Right now, if I set the over-under on Jackson Dart starts at 5.5, are you taking the over or the under?
I think I'm taking the under. And I think it's directly schedule related. Not that many of you guys would care in Kansas City, but the Giants' bye week is extremely late this year. They have a bye week in early December, leaving just 4 games in the regular season after. And it feels like, at least the sense I've gotten, while Jackson Dart had a great rookie minicamp, Brian Dable is taking his time. There's a reason Jackson Dart was picked 25 and not a top 5 pick. He does need to take his time coming off that Lane Kiffin offense, and they hope that Russell Wilson just keeps the team competitive. This team is going to be sneaky good defensively. They have a potential on-paper top 10 unit defensively, and I think they just kind of hope they win games the way Russell Wilson's Steelers won them with defense, and Russell Wilson's not killing you until the end. But, yeah, I think you're not going to see Jackson Dart early. I think I'm going under. I'm going to guess 4 games right off the bye week.
I really like the Jackson Dart trade. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the prospect. I saw him a lot in the SEC at Ole Miss, But if you were telling me with where they selected him and with what they gave up to move in the NFL draft to go get Jackson Dart, I actually feel like it was a really smart swing from the Giants.
Carrington, you and I are in complete lockstep. I'm the same way. Look, I'm a guy who loves college football. I didn't love some of the stuff, the meltdown moments. Obviously, everybody points to that Florida game at the end there for Jackson Dart. But yes, the Giants got killed when they took Daniel Jones 6th overall because they panicked, took a quarterback at 6 that could have gone in the late 20s and figured that out. They didn't make that mistake this time. They were able to get Abdul Carter 3rd overall and then make that smart, basically trading 2 third-round picks. And the way the draft fell for the Giants this year, if you really, got into the X's and O's of it, they ended up getting Cam Scadaboo in the 4th round, who would have been that 3rd-round pick, that second third-rounder they had that was traded in the deal. So I think it was a smart move. But again, the next smart move is not rushing the kid. If you're going to do this, take your time. Make sure he's ready to play. Don't just throw him to the Wolves because you're trying to save jobs there. And I think the Giants will be smart about that.
Right now, we're talking to Sean Marash, who covers the Giants at WFAN, learning a little bit more about the Giants ahead of their Week 3 matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. That is also the Giants' home opener. I'm looking at their depth chart right now. Other than Malik Neighbors, is there anybody else on offense you think can do some damage for the Giants?
Well, not on paper to the national audience, but yeah, I think Tyrone Tracy is a dynamic back. He was one of the best rookie running backs last year. He just had a little bit of a fumbling problem that's got to continue to get cleaned up. But oddly enough, between him and this is the third time I'm going to mention Cam Scadaboo, I think the Giants are going to be a pretty dynamic rush offense. That was where the strength of their offensive line lied. Here's the problem. Nobody else in that wide receiver room besides Malik Neighbors is scaring you. However, there's a belief. Darius Slayton was brought back here kind of stunningly to be that second outside wide receiver. And they have a slot in Wan'Dale Robinson who had basically 100 catches and no yak. The belief is that just by sheer quarterback play, some of these other threats they have can now be used in a proper way, and they have very, very high hopes for their 4th-round pick a year ago, Theo Johnson, the tight end out of Penn State, who was right there with Tyler Warren a couple of years there in Penn State. They are confident in those guys, and I think the goal here is by the end of 2025 for people around the country who aren't as locked in with the Giants to start having these guys, whether it's player props and fantasy football, be household names, and they hope the quarterback position elevates that.
Looking at the defense here, let's talk about the top pick in Abdul Carter. I liked him as a college prospect, Sean. I can't lie. I don't like how he's handled his pro career so far. First, you try to get Lawrence Taylor's number. Then you try to get Phil Simms' number. You're worried about the wrong things. Build your own legacy. Start your own career. The fact that the top story with the Giants, after having a pretty solid draft, in my opinion, is your star defensive lineman trying to go get former pass grades numbers. He's not off to a great start in my mind.
So, I'm going to defend Abdul Carter here. This is on the Giants. They opened up a can of worms last year. They unretired Ray Flaherty's number 1 to give to Malik Neighbors. It was a huge story here a year ago when that happened. And I think that the Giants set the tone that if you're a big first-round pick, why shouldn't you ask for a number to be unretired? That being said, yeah, it probably was a little ridiculous, but he has toned that down after rookie camp. You could tell somebody got in his ear and said, now just focus on the football part. He's basically pulled the Belichick on the Cincinnati answers now, and I'm anxious to see. Look, that wasn't a good start, but if he goes out there and he's getting 10 sacks for the Giants this year, all will be forgiven, and he's going to an edge room with Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence in the middle, and they upgraded the secondary of Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland in this offseason. Bobby Okereke came in a linebacker. I'm telling you, this addition here, I think the Giants defense, if Abdul Carter's as good as advertised, this is where the Giants are going to surprise and win a couple games this year.
Last thing, and I'll get you out of here. Right now, the Giants, they are tied for the lowest over-under right now in Vegas at 5.5. Are you taking the over or the under for the Giants this season?
I am taking the over barely. I think this team is 6-11 written all over it. They could, a couple bounces of the ball, get to 7-10. They were more competitive than people realized early in the year before injuries took the toll. And this roster is so much different than it even looked a year ago. Again, I'm not proclaiming playoffs. The schedule's way too difficult if you looked at their first 4 games. That being said, I think they're going to rally and win some games later in the year as well. And I think they're going to have this pass rush is going to steal a game or two that nobody thinks is coming. But they will be a very spunky, I'm going to say they're this year's Carolina Panthers of last year, where you feel good about them entering 2026.
Well, with everything you're telling me right now, it sounds to me like the Giants are going to be looking for a new head coach next season.
I disagree, Carrington. I disagree from everything, that seems to be the case. There is not a playoff mandate for Brian Dable. And, in fact, the fact that they let Brian Dable take a quarterback like Jackson Dart, and the owner knows damn well he's going to need a good year before we fully trust him, I think that these guys have a new leash on life. Now, they can't go win 3 games and be uncompetitive. But if they are a competitive 5- or 6-win team, Brian Dable will be back as head coach of the New York Giants.
And that is Sean Marash joining us on the show today. He does afternoons for WFAN in, I was going to say Chicago. No, not Chicago. 3, 2, 1. And that is Sean Marash with WFAN in New York City, the most popular sports talk station in the country. The Chiefs, they head to New York for week 3 of the NFL season to play in the Giants home opener at MetLife. Sean, great stuff, man. I appreciate your time today.
I appreciate it. Swifty, stay home. Let us enjoy the home opener. Take care, guys.
That was Sean Marash joining us on the show today. We'll continue through the schedule for the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Baltimore coming up next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
Hey, it's Cole Reagans from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with CDOT on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, where our testosterone therapy can help you sleep better, improve your sex drive, give you better gains in the gym, and more. Please take a moment and listen to how we help this patient.
Hi, my name is Matt. I've been a patient of Heartland Men's Health for over a year now, utilizing their low T treatment. I woke up one day and realized that I was twice the guy I used to be, and my energy was half of what it was. I made the decision to come into Heartland Men's Health just wanting to feel better and trying to find a solution to why I was tired all the time. And the results that I've gotten brought me back to being myself. It brought me back to being the best spouse I can be, to being the best father I can be. Any of my friends that ask me, they see me, they're like, you're a different person, or they're like, what are you doing? Guys, if anything I've said today resonates with you or makes you think that this might be a good place for you to come get checked out, meet with a specialist here and get your life back on track and feeling better.
Thank you. It's true. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Harris Kansas City is giving away $150,000 in guaranteed prizes Saturday, June 28th to celebrate Mid-Year's Eve. One lucky guest will walk away with $50,000 in cold, hard cash at midnight. Plus, leading up to the big finale, you can win up to $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes. The best part? You can earn extra entries into the big drawing from now until June 28th. Don't miss the hottest celebration of the summer, only at Harris, Kansas City. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-518-3899. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-518-3899. That's 800-518-3899. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure what the best option is? Selling a home, especially when dealing with foreclosure, divorce, job relocation, or an inherited property, can feel overwhelming. That's why I don't just make offers. I help homeowners understand all their options so they can make the right choice with no pressure and no obligation. I'm Rex, a local homebuyer and resident right here in Kansas City. Whether you're looking for a fast cash sale or just want to explore your choices, I'll walk you through the pros and cons of selling to me or listing with an agent. If selling directly is your best move, I'll offer you a fair cash price and a closing timeline that fits your needs in as little as 7 days or on your schedule. No repairs, no commissions, no hidden fees. Just a transparent, hassle-free process so you know exactly what to expect. Let's talk. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexspicekc.com for a free, no-pressure consultation. Rex Spies KC, helping homeowners make informed decisions with confidence.
Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Rawhide Harley's accepting all credit applications. Bank reps on speed dial to help get you approved. Bankruptcy, divorce, even repos. Let Rawhide Harley Davidson get you financed on a new Harley today. Visit rawhideharley.com.
On approved credit.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Kansas City, this is Michael Massey. Listen to the play-by-play all season long with Denny, Jake, Ryan, and Stu right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
The Chiefs' schedule is absolutely loaded in the first month of the season. They play the Friday game in Brazil against the Chargers. They play a 3:25 game on Fox against the Eagles. On the road against the Giants, you're thinking, oh, it's the Giants. It's Sunday Night Football. And then they have a 3:25 game on CBS against the Baltimore Ravens. So the first month of the season, there is not a more public team than the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by their Week 4 opponent, the Baltimore Ravens. Cordell Woodland joins us on the show. He is with 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. Cordell, man, happy to have you pop back on again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Let's just start with this. Another year in which I'm assuming there was Super Bowl hope and aspirations for the Baltimore Ravens, and they just fell short. How are you guys sort of getting over what happened this season? Where are you guys at in that process?
It's kind of rinse and repeat, honestly, out here in Baltimore with this team. I mean, they've really, throughout Lamar's time here, I guess you could really go back to that 2019 year where he won unanimous MVP and the Ravens won, I think, 14 games and were the number one seed. Really, since then, it's been like every year the expectation is Super Bowl, and obviously they have no Super Bowls to this point in that span. They haven't even gotten to the game. So it's kind of that all over again, and especially now with them returning a lot of their offensive guys. The Ravens had statistically the best offense in football last year, and they're returning guys like Derrick Henry, who just got a nice extension the other day. Mark Andrews, who's in the last year of his deal. A lot of talk about maybe he being on the move this offseason. He stays put. Zay Flowers is back. Lamar seems to get better and better each year. So they're loaded with talent. By all accounts, it seems like they had a really good draft. Health, of course, will be the big question mark. But, yeah, right now it's everybody's looking out here, at least, for the Ravens to hopefully make a Super Bowl push. So they have a tough schedule, but the Ravens always do a really good job of dominating the regular season. For them, it's all about January, and we'll see what type of team they are come that time.
I was just going to ask you about Mark Andrews. There's been a lot of news around him. He had to address a trade speculation. The general manager at times feels non-committal about Mark Andrews. Are you foreseeing that Mark Andrews is going to be on the Ravens week 1?
Yeah, I think at this point that ship has kind of sailed in terms of him being traded. I think if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen around draft time, maybe a little before. But at this point, look, I look at this Ravens roster, and as much as I love Isaiah Likely, and I do, they're a better team with Mark Andrews on the roster. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe Mark taking a little bit of a back seat to Isaiah Likely this year, because I do think the upside with Likely is there. And the Ravens are in a unique situation right now where their entire tight end room is entering this season on the last year of their deal. So they need to figure out what's going to happen with Isaiah Likely, what's going to happen with Charlie Kohler. I expect this to be the last year for Mark. But, yeah, I do expect him to be there week one, but it would not surprise me if Isaiah Likely is more of the featured tight end for them this year.
Right now, we're talking to Cordell Woodland, taking a closer look at the Baltimore Ravens. They're the Week 4 opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs, a 3:25 game on CBS. You know that all eyes are going to be on that matchup with two of the better quarterbacks and two of the better teams in the NFL. Where do you think that Baltimore is improved the most from last season if you were going through all of their offseason moves?
I think definitely defensively. I mean, defense was a big topic of conversation for them going into this offseason because they got up to such a slow start last year. They were one of the worst defenses in the league for almost half the season, and it definitely turned around in large part due to them moving Kyle Hamilton from that Swiss Army knife role where they move him up in the box, sometimes play him back in, sometimes he's in a slot, sometimes he's a blitzer, to pretty much almost exclusively being a deep safety, which he was great at. He really helped stabilize their defense. But they know they're at their best when they can move him around all over the place. So they use their first-round pick on Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia, who can do a lot of the same things that Kyle Hamilton can do. So that was a huge win because by drafting Starks, it immediately impacts your best player in Kyle Hamilton to do the things you like to do with him. They also used, I believe, their second-round pick on Mike Green, who led the nation in sacks this year with 17 out in Marshall. So they feel really good about him, and that was a big part of it as well. The Ravens were second as a team in sacks last year, but they weren't great at getting those situational sacks, third down sacks, late game sacks, and they lacked turnovers too, which, of course, getting pressure on the quarterback ties into that. So I think they address some of those needs. Ardarius Washington tearing his Achilles the other day is a huge blow to this defense because even with Malachi Starks being brought in, Ardarius was going to be a big part of what they like to do. So I am curious to see how they bounce back from that. But I think that defensively is where they made the most progress this offseason.
You mentioned Malachi Starks. He was one of those draft picks, and I said it whenever it happened. You just know that's going to work. Like, we've seen the Ravens draft these kinds of players. I felt that way about Kyle Hamilton. Patrick Queen was another one of those players. Like, the Ravens certainly look for a certain type of player, and I think Starks fits a lot of the things that defense potentially needs.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're in this phase now, especially here in Baltimore, where they like to play a lot of positionless football. So, getting two guys like Starks and Hamilton that can move all over the place. And, I mean, you watch Starks' college film, he is very comfortable with playing all over the field. He looks like a natural slot corner, honestly, watching some of his film in Georgia. So that's the good thing about him compared to Kyle, who Kyle is at the top of his game. I honestly think Kyle is, if not the best safety in the league, one of the top 2 to 3 safeties in all of football. But with Kyle, his rookie year, it took about a month or two before the Ravens felt comfortable to start moving him around and utilizing him the way that they like to do. Whereas with Starks, I think he's ready day one to kind of do some of that stuff. Now, look, he's a rookie. There will be some growing pains, and you got to leave some room for that. But just talking to some of the guys in the Ravens organization and some of their scouts, they feel really good about kind of putting Malachi Starks in the deep end of the pool early in his career.
Cordell, I'm going to ask you this question. I don't want it to sound like hate because I'm in Kansas City, but it's an honest question. How many more chances do you think the Ravens have? Because you and I both know you don't get an infinite amount of swings to try to win the Super Bowl. The Ravens feel like they have been knocking on the door. The Bills feel like they have been knocking on the door, but neither one of those teams have been unable to walk through. Do you still feel like the window is wide open for Baltimore? How many chances do you think they have in overtaking Kansas City and winning the AFC?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think definitely this year, I think their window is definitely wide open. I think, they're returning all of their core guys, and they added to that, really. So I think this team this year is going to be better than the team they had last year. So, yeah, I do think this year is wide open. Beyond that, Look, we'll see. I mean, as long as Lamar Jackson is there and healthy, it's a quarterback-driven league. So as long as he's there and able to play and is playing at the top of his game, they'll always have a chance. I mean, they have been in 2019, they won 14 games with, lackluster talent around Lamar Jackson, and he went on to win unanimous MVP, and they were the best team in the league, at least during the regular season. So he has shown the ability to not only elevate the players around him, but also, have a great year when you do put a lot of talent around him. So as long as he's there, they'll always have a chance. But it's the NFL. Injuries happen. We've seen the Ravens have some crazy years where they've been ravaged with injuries. So you just never know how often that's going to creep up and teams get better. There are always surprise teams. I'm a Commanders fan. I mean, they were in the NFC Championship game last year. Nobody thought that was happening, even as good as Jaden was. So, I think the Ravens' window will be open, but how long will some of these guys be able to be a part of this ride? Like John Harbaugh, like how many bites of the apple will he get? I don't know. He got the 2-year extension this year, but I think this is going to be a pivotal year for John to at least get this team back to the AFC Championship game.
Cordell, last thing here, we appreciate your time. The first part of it is, who else do you see as a contender in the division? It's a very weird division, a competitive division nonetheless, but a very weird division. We don't know who the Steelers quarterback is going to be this year. The Browns appear to be going through their issues. The Bengals have been hurt and banged up these last couple of years and missed the postseason. And I think you and I agree. The top three in the AFC is Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. Do you see any other team in the AFC that is even worthy of putting in that conversation with those first three teams?
Well, with the division, right now, Baltimore and Cincinnati, it's a two-team race in my mind. I just can't get myself to really care about the Browns. They're just a mess right now, and they're going to be a mess for the foreseeable future. The Steelers, I actually like a lot of the things that the Steelers did this offseason, but they don't have a quarterback. And you just can't win in this league without a quarterback. You just can't. And so until they fix that, I can't take Pittsburgh seriously. If they get Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is, really changing the fortune of a franchise right now, but you could get me to buy an Aaron Rodgers-led Pittsburgh Steelers team over a Russell Wilson-led Pittsburgh Steelers team. I'll say that. In terms of the conference, I can't really right now put anybody in that tier one of the AFC with Baltimore, Kansas City, and Buffalo. I guess you could look at Cincinnati as, if they're healthy, maybe them going in there. But outside of that, I think Miami is trending in the worst direction right now. I think they're going backwards. The Chargers won 11 games last year, but I don't really look at the Chargers as a tier one team. Same with Denver, who was a playoff team, had a really good year with a rookie quarterback themselves. But I don't see them in the same echelon as those top three. The only team that I would feel like I can give consideration to right now is Cincinnati, but I got to see it with them. I don't think they did enough defensively, and right now their best defensive player is talking about he's not even playing on this current contract. So they've got some issues to figure out, but if they can figure that out and get their defense to be reasonably good with that offense, they can compete with anybody.
That was Cordell Woodland joining us on the show today with 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, taking a closer look at the Week 4 opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday, September 28th at Arrowhead. The Chiefs play the Ravens at a 3:25 game on CBS. I'm assuming that game is going to do a big number. You got two of the better teams and two of the better quarterbacks, and certainly two franchises with history going up against each other. Coming up at the top of the next segment, we are going to head to Jacksonville for the Chiefs, their first Monday night football game of the year. Cordell, great stuff as always, man. I appreciate your time. Look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Cordell Woodland joining us on the show today to take a closer look at the Ravens. If you were just tuning in today, we are going to be joined by somebody that covers every teams that the Chiefs have on their schedule. We have now wrapped up the first month of the Chiefs season. They play the Chargers week 1 in Brazil. They play the Eagles in the home opener, on the road against the Giants on Sunday Night Football, and also a 3:25 game on September 28th against the Baltimore Ravens. We will head to October and get to week 5 of the NFL season as the Chiefs go on the road and play Jacksonville. A lot of changes with the Jaguars. We'll learn more about them next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Cosentino's food stores are celebrating 77 years of serving Kansas City. Come in today for incredible anniversary savings across the store. You'll find some of the hottest prices of the year, now through May 20th only. From fresh produce to family favorites, don't miss the unbeatable prices at every Cosentino's location. For 77 years, it's been our family's honor to serve yours, and we're just getting started.
Honey, our new James Hardy siding from Powell Exteriors KC looks so good. Our house went from worst to first. The neighbor waved at me today with her whole hand. I'm ready for phase 2 of our home transformation. Let's call Powell about that new deck. They're offering financing at 0% for 18 months on everything. You should call today at 816-656-1160 or take another look at their stunning work on powellkc.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platform.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a
a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Right lane closed out in Lee Summit for a stalled car eastbound 50 highway just before Chipman Road. Seen some slowdowns eastbound 435 out of the 69 exchange and also northbound 69 highway to 435. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Subscribe to 96.5 The Fan on YouTube to watch the show from wherever you are.
You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 965thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we are going to head to Detroit, Michigan for the Chiefs Week 6 matchup against the Lions. That game is on Sunday Night Football. Well, you know what? There is going to be a week this year that you get the chance to watch the Chiefs play on Monday Night Football and also play on Sunday Night Football, October 6th. For the Monday night game in Jacksonville, October 12th, they play the Lions at home for Sunday Night Football. Let's cover both of them in this. We are going through every team that the Chiefs play on their schedule this season. We are at week 5. Let's head to Jacksonville right now to be joined by friend of the show, Ryan Green with 1010XL down in Jacksonville. Ryan, happy to have you join us again today, my man.
Carrington, how are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Let's start with this. Where are fans, where is the media at with Trevor Lawrence? He certainly had a lot of hype, a lot of buzz coming into his career. He certainly has had some bright spots, but I don't think his career has gone the way that people expected it to go. Where are people at with the Jaguars quarterback?
Well, there's certainly questions about him coming into year 5. I won't debate that, but people are still high on him. I think a lot of people are just hopeful now that there's some stability. I mean, if you go back to his final year, Carrington, at Clemson, you're talking about 4 head coaches in his last 6 years of football, 4 offensive coordinators in his last 6 years of football. I mean, that's a bad hand to be dealt for anybody. So now with Liam Cohen, the first young offensive mind that Trevor's had as his head coach in the NFL, Grant Udinski, the youngest offensive coordinator in the game, innovative ideas. There's a lot of hope here that finally, coming into year 5 for Trevor, they're going to really be able to see his potential.
Right now, we're talking to Ryan Green, who covers the Jacksonville Jaguars, just going through their team, learning a little bit more about them this year. Where would you have Trevor Lawrence ranked? We talk a lot about top 5. I don't think that Lawrence is there. Do you think he's a top 10 quarterback, maybe somewhere in that 8 to 10 range? Is he a top 12 quarterback? Where do you kind of project him? Where do you think he lands in the quarterback hierarchy?
No, I'm more realistic. I think some Jaguar fans would argue top 10. I will not. I say he's in the top half. I mean, I don't know if you can tell me 16 other quarterbacks that you would rather have than Trevor Lawrence. You could probably get to 10. You could probably get to 12. So I'll say he's somewhere in the top 16 of quarterbacks in the league. And look, I mean, there have, like you said, there have been a lot of bright spots. There have been some issues. There have been some injury concerns. There's been kind of everything. When Trevor's been good, he's been really good. It's just been few and far between. But I'll say he's in the top half of quarterbacks in the league, at least as we enter 2025.
I look at Jacksonville's offseason plan. It's a lot like what we saw in Chicago. Now, I get it. One is Chicago, one is Jacksonville, a much bigger media market in one situation than the other one. But if you think about it, you got a talented young quarterback. You're trying to get him back on track. You go get the offensive-minded head coach. You go get him a massive weapon in the offseason. I think there's a lot of similarities. Let's talk about the head coach. You guys go get the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. That feels like the right move for where Trevor Lawrence is in his career.
Yeah, I agree. You look at what Liam Cohen did with Baker Mayfield last year in Tampa. Baker had the best year of his career, and it wasn't even close. And we're hoping that lightning strikes twice. You know, a number one overall pick in Baker Mayfield that some were ready to send out to pasture. Obviously, he's had a revolution to his career in Tampa. Trevor Lawrence, a number one pick that a lot of people, again, are wanting to send out to pasture. We're hoping Liam Cohen can come in here and do the same thing with Trevor that he did with Baker Mayfield. And then obviously there's the Travis Hunter factor, the Brian Thomas Jr. factor. There are a lot of weapons that Trevor will have at his disposal this year.
Right now, we're taking a closer look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's talk about their big addition this offseason. They have added Travis Hunter, the number 2 overall pick from Colorado. Is the plan to use him as a wide receiver that plays corner or a corner that plays wide receiver?
The plan coming in is he is going to be a wide receiver that is going to play corner. I think he is going to be a primary wide receiver along with Brian Thomas Jr., but Carrington, make no mistake about it, man, he is going to play defensive back as well. Does that mean 15 snaps a game? Does that mean 25 snaps a game? I don't know. I don't really know if anybody knows this early in the process, but he's going to play on both sides of the ball. But I think he is, if you're going to label him as something, he is going to be a wide receiver that is also going to play defensive back.
I actually think that's probably the right way to use him. I mean, I'm looking at supply and demand. There's certainly fewer great corners in the league than great wide receivers, but I also think that he's a guy, if he primarily focused on either one of the sides of the ball, I think he could be an 1,100-yard receiver. I also think he could maybe be the best corner in the National Football League. It certainly makes sense to me with Trevor Lawrence also going out to get the offensive-minded head coach. It makes a lot of sense to use him primarily on that side of the ball.
Well, and the idea of him on one side and Brian Thomas Jr. on the other with Trevor Lawrence, you know, they went and got De'Ami Brown in the offseason, who had a really good playoff run with Washington. He's going to kind of be the third wide receiver. They really like Brenton Strange at tight end, which is why they let Evan Ingram go, who ultimately signed with Denver. And remember, you still have Travis Etienne. You still have Tank Bigsby. They drafted the fastest running back in the draft in Bashal Tutin out of Virginia Tech. Speed, and more speed is what the Jaguars have on offense, which is what Liam Cohen likes. And I'll give general manager James Gladstone credit. At only 34 years of age, he has come in here this offseason and really turned this roster upside down, which was needed based on, obviously, the last couple of years here in Jacksonville.
Ryan, we have to talk about the trade that sent Travis Hunter to Jacksonville. It's funny because, I mean, the number 2 overall pick was traded in this year's draft class, and it doesn't even feel like it was one of the 5 biggest stories surrounding the draft. They gave up a lot to go get Travis Hunter. What do you make of the trade, and what does he need to do to justify giving up that level of compensation to go get him?
No, I love the trade, and I understand why people think it was a lot. But Carrington, a lot of that hay is in the barn. I mean, the Browns used the 36th overall pick on Junkins, the running back from Ohio State. Interestingly enough, the Browns gave Jacksonville a 4th and a 6th round pick in that trade. Jacksonville's 4th round pick actually got improved by some 20 spots, so I don't even really count that. I count the 2nd round pick this year and the 1st round pick next year. Look, here's the bottom line. If the Jaguars are bad, and if they're picking in the top 10, Cleveland wins the trade. Jacksonville doesn't think they're going to be bad. They think they're going to be competing for a wild card spot. Around a 500 mark is kind of the floor of this team. They don't think they were as bad as 4-13 last year. A lot of injuries happened. So if Jacksonville's right and they're an 8-9, dare I say a 10-win team, and that pick is in the 20s next year, I think Jacksonville clearly won the trade. So we'll find out soon enough once the season gets here. But I love what Jacksonville did, and quite frankly, I don't think they gave away too much in that deal.
Ryan, I feel like you have to consider the Texans to be the favorite in the AFC South, but if there is another team that I think could win the division, I would pick Jacksonville. How do you handicap the AFC South? And right now, if you want to bet on the over-under, it is at 7.5 right now for Jacksonville. Are you taking the over or the under for them?
Yeah, I'm going to do this on my show later. I have the Jaguars at 9-8 right now. I do have them losing to Kansas City, just to avoid any controversy out there with your audience. I have the Chiefs coming in here and winning on Monday Night Football. No, the AFC South is terrible. I mean, Tennessee is awful. We'll see about Cam Ward, but he's a rookie quarterback, and they didn't really do a lot to surround him with a lot of talent this offseason, the skill positions. Indianapolis has a good roster, but they have a major quarterback controversy on their hands with Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. And Houston, I guess they're the favorite, but they have decided to take a bad offensive line and arguably make it worse. I mean, they replaced Laramie Tunsil at left tackle with Cam Robinson. I mean, that is the Texans' offseason in a nutshell. So I get C.J. Stroud, and that's great, Nico Collins, and aging Joe Mixon. If C.J. Stroud's on the ground a lot, I don't know how good he's going to be. So I question what the Texans did. By default, I guess, I'm going to have them winning the division. But absolutely, I think any team could win this division, and it would not shock me at all if Jacksonville is that team.
That is Ryan Green with 1010XL in Jacksonville. A busy week for Kansas City. On Monday, October 6th, they play on the road on Monday Night Football against Jacksonville, and then they host Sunday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Ryan, great stuff, man. I appreciate your time.
Hey, Carrington, anytime, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely. That is Ryan Green joining us on the show today. That was Monday Night Football. Let's get to Sunday Night Football. Let's head to Detroit right now to be joined by John Jansen. He is with 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. John, happy to have you join us on the show today. They have had a lot of changes in Detroit. The offensive coordinator is gone from last year. The defensive coordinator is gone from last year. What other changes have we seen with the Lions?
Well, I mean, obviously the coordinators, both of those gone, and it'll take an adjustment. We saw the Philly do this a couple of years ago where both coordinators end up getting head jobs. They bring in a couple of guys. Didn't work originally there. Again, they swapped them out. Then they obviously won the Super Bowl, which I know you guys are well aware of. Sorry to bring that up. But that's – hopefully we're going to skip that gap here where, John Morton – I know he's familiar with KC, having some time in Denver. He was with the Lions a couple of years ago, so hopefully he hits the ground running with a good rhythm for Jared Goff. Same thing with Calvin Shepard, linebackers coach, now DC. He's very familiar with the roster, but when you look at the defensive line, Aleem McNeil probably won't be available for that game. He is a big-time player for this team, and Levi Onwuzurike, his replacement, is going to have a big season. He's going to have an opportunity to sign a one-year deal, re-upped here in Detroit. So a lot of eyes on him, a lot of eyes on the end opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Hutch will be back from that injury, so that'd be a little bit different from last year. Only played 5 games, but, when you've got Marcus Davenport, Josh Paschal, and a whole bunch of other guys that no one knows about rushing the passer against opposite Aiden Hutchinson, that's going to be something. And then offensively, most of the offense remains the same. Receivers are back, running backs are back, quarterback is back, tight ends are back, but there's some changes up front with Kevin Zeitler no longer being that right guard. They drafted Tate Ratledge out of Georgia in the second round. Looks like he's going to be the starter up front. Christian Mahogany, who they took last year from Boston College, I think he's going to be a guy that possibly gets a start at left guard, maybe displacing Graham Glasgow. So that's probably the biggest change offensively.
What do you think all of these changes potentially mean for Jared Goff? A lot was made of Ben Johnson and his fingerprints all over that offense. You now lose that. He stays in the division, but he's no longer with the Detroit Lions. What do you think all of these changes mean for Jared Goff? Do you think he can keep up a very high level of play without having Ben Johnson in town?
I do, and here I'll give you 2 reasons why. First of all, the weapons are all the same. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they're going to be in the backfield, standing right behind Jared Goff. Monroe St. Brown, J-Mo, Tim Patrick, all of those guys are going to remain the same. Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, tight ends, all the same. And in large part, other than the differences I talked about in that offensive line, the biggest thing that remains the same for him is Frank Ragnow, an all-pro center, will be that center that he's going to be working with. Now, that's reason number 1. The components are largely the same. Reason number 2, it's yet to be determined, and I've always said I think this is Dan Campbell's offense. Ben Johnson did a great job of calling things on Sundays, and, the creativity, and both Ben and Dan have said that it was a staff effort to put together some of those trick plays, to put together the game plans, but I think this is Dan Campbell's offense. Ben was calling it. Now John Morton's going to be calling it. So I think knowing that the offense isn't going to change a lot, there'll be some new wrinkles. There's always changes year to year, but that's going to remain the same, which is going to help Jared Goff be comfortable in this offense, be comfortable with his weapons, and still be explosive.
Right now, we're learning more about the Detroit Lions with John Jansen of 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. We were having this conversation a week or so ago. I think the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL are locked in. We can disagree on the order potentially, but Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, those are the 4 best quarterbacks in the league to me, and we were debating who gets that 5th spot, who's the 5th best quarterback. I think the answer is Jared Goff. Do you have Jared Goff as a top 5 quarterback in the league?
I do, and I've taken some heat for saying that here. I don't know who you bump out of that top 4. At times during the year last year, as we update our rankings and do that whole thing during the regular season, there were times where I had him at 4. And I think he is a top 5 quarterback. Now, the thing that separates him being at 5 and not being one of those top 4, those top 4 guys can go out there and win with just about anybody. We saw Buffalo and their offense get depleted. Still, Josh Allen goes out there, wins an MVP. Lamar Jackson, and all the guys that you talked about. Even Joe Burrow. I know he's got great weapons, but he's a guy that just simply goes out there and wins. Jared Goff, and I would throw, some other guys into that same category where, yeah, they're good, but they need weapons around them. They need high-level players around them, and they've Goff-proofed this offense. You look at Jalen Hurts. And he's a guy that I think fits into that second tier of quarterback. If that's where, you're starting with number 5 at Goff and, Jalen Hurts and those type of guys, they need to have playmakers around them. And once they do, they can distribute the ball. They can make great decisions. And that's where I think Jared Goff is really separates himself from a lot of other quarterbacks is the mental process that he goes through. He knows the game so well. He knows the offense. He knows his teammates. And he gets the most out of every ounce of ability that he has.
John, let's talk about the division very quickly. I don't know who's going to win that division. You would have to assume that Detroit is going to be the favorite. Green Bay is certainly going to be in the mix as the playoff team. Minnesota, there's uncertainty about their quarterback position. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers ends up being the quarterback for them. But right now we're looking at J.J. McCarthy, and I think you and I can agree the Bears are going to be a very popular wild card sleeper team in the NFC. How do you handicap what appears to be the toughest, most competitive division in football?
Well, Minnesota basically having a rookie quarterback. I call him a freshman because I've worked with him at Michigan as well. And JJ will be fine. Kevin O'Connell is going to do, I think, a wonderful job. We saw what he did with Sam Darnold, and they've beefed up that offensive line. They've got a running game. They've got a great cast of wide receivers. And Brian Flores on defense is one of the top defensive coordinators in the league. So they're still going to be tough and a force to be reckoned with. Green Bay, it kind of goes as Jordan Love goes. And, we were talking about ranking the quarterbacks. I think he's that tier down from where Goff and Jalen Hurts and some of those older quarterbacks are, just because he hasn't been consistent enough. They go out in the first round, they draft a wide receiver, give him another weapon. They're always going to be a tough out. And then the Bears, it's really the big question mark. Are they going to be the team that goes worst to first? I don't see it in this division, but they could certainly be a wild card in regards to kind of doing the same thing. They've beefed up that offensive line. Ben Johnson's followed the blueprint that he learned in Detroit. Beef up the offensive line, continue to strengthen the defense, and then try and establish a run game. So he went out in the draft and got a tight end, very similar to Sam Laporta that he had here in Detroit. So there's no question it's going to be tough, but I think you could argue it's one of the top 2 or 3 divisions in regards to coaches, and that's with a huge question mark on Ben Johnson. What's he going to be as a head coach?
Last thing here, the over-under in Vegas right now for Lions wins is 10.5. Are you taking the over or the under this year in Detroit?
No, I'm taking the over. I know it's a tough start, and it's a first-place schedule. They've got a lot of work to do, and you look at the entire season, and it's on the road to Baltimore in Week 3. They start off on the road in Green Bay, and then it's Cincinnati and Kansas City both on the road in Weeks 5 and 6. So it starts off really tough, and then at the back half of the season, they've got the Giants, they've got Dallas, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago. So it kind of is once you get to that midpoint, you start to run downhill a little bit. But I'll take the over in that every single day.
That is John Jansen joining us on the show today with 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. The Lions are certainly going to be one of the more fun teams again this season. Really excited to see them come back to Arrowhead. The last time, John, you guys were here, you didn't get Travis Kelce, you didn't get Chris Jones. I'm hoping that we get to see everybody on both sides and see these two teams match up against each other.
Don't give me the Mike Tirico asterisk comment. Come on, man. Jared Goff has never lost to Patrick Mahomes. And so maybe this is the first time Patrick Mahomes gets over that hump. I know trust me, I say it somewhat jokingly, but it's going to be a great matchup. I love what Kansas City has done. Health makes a big difference with Rashee Rice. Health makes a difference for Detroit with Aiden Hutchinson being healthy. So it's going to be a heavyweight bout.
That is John Jansen joining us on the show today. John, great stuff, man. Look forward to catching up with you later in the season.
Hey, great talking to you. Thanks for having me.
If you take a look at the early season schedule for the Chiefs, they play on Brazil on a Friday, a 3:25 game that's going to be nationally televised. Sunday Night Football, another 3:25 game. Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. Coming up on the other side, we'll get to the first noon game of the year for the Kansas City Chiefs on October 19th at Arrowhead. They got a noon game against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's coming up. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
After we met and we started dating, Nancy and I lived 150 miles apart, and I would drive my old jalopy car, and it was roughly a 3-hour distance. It took 3 years I drove across that state back and forth dating her every weekend.
Persistence.
And I would have never stopped. I had a lot of energy back then, 36 years ago.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Why do other agents have such a hard time selling your property? It's because they don't know how to price it correctly. But we know someone who does. Dawn Sharp and her team. Experience the Dawn Sharp team difference for yourself. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Google them at Sharp Homes Team or pay them a visit at homesforsaleandkc.com.
Harris, Kansas City is giving away $150,000 in guaranteed prizes Saturday, June 28th to celebrate Mid-Year's Eve. One lucky guest will walk away with $50,000 in cold, hard cash at midnight. Plus, leading up to the big finale, you can win up to $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes. The best part? You can earn extra entries into the big drawing. From now until June 28th, don't miss the hottest celebration of the summer, only at Harris, Kansas City. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Men, here's the truth. In the bedroom, good enough isn't really good enough, is it? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if your erectile dysfunction is making intimacy less enjoyable for you and your partner, give us a call today. Because whether your ED only happens sometimes or all the time, it's time to stop good enough and time to start really good. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. Whether it's only mild or moderate, or even if it's severe, our treatments have success rates of well over 90%. And because we have a variety of treatments and can even combine protocols, we can likely get you performing like you haven't in a long time. You could even last up to an hour or more and make sex great again for you and your partner. So make an appointment and be done with good enough. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide, a robust new website, and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic is brought to you by the Kansas City Winelson Plumbing Trade Show this Friday, May 16th, 10 to 2 at the Boulevard Drive-In. A two-car crash stopping traffic on the Metro's southeast side. It's right at westbound 470, the exit to eastbound 50 highway. Things looking heavy through Grandview, southbound 49 highway, starting at about Truman Drive, and it finally eases up before 163rd Street. In the plumbing trade or a serious DIYer, hit the Kansas City Winelson Plumbing Trade Show this Friday, May 16th, 10 to 2 at the Boulevard Drive-In. 25 vendors from top brands showcasing their products and giving expert advice. Enjoy a free lunch and enter to win a shotgun and 1-year membership to Powder Creek Shooting Park. Details at winelsonkc.com. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Be sure to follow The Drive on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back into the show. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to be joined by Scott Goldbranson, who covers the Raiders. We are about halfway done going through the Chiefs' schedule. We are at Week 7. Week 7, Sunday, October 19th. The Kansas City Chiefs host the Las Vegas Raiders. That is their first scheduled noon game of the season. Rob, there has been a theme that I have noticed across this, and I'm guessing that Scott Goldbranson is going to have a very similar thing. It's hope. We know how the NFL works. If you write down 6 teams that you think are going to be good and 6 teams that you are 100% certain are going to be bad this season, you're going to be wrong on both sides. There's going to be a Washington Commanders team that comes out of nowhere and makes a run. There's also going to be a San Francisco 49ers team that makes the Super Bowl one year that misses it the next year. A Cincinnati Bengals team that people think is going to be good and then misses the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. Right now, the theme is hope. Now, it's all varying degrees of hope, right? The Chargers think they could win the division this year, think that they could maybe push towards being one of those top teams in the AFC. The Giants are thinking, well, we're not going to win the division, but I think we could be a 7-8 win team, keep our head coach. We got a young quarterback and build on that. The theme of May and June is one of hope and optimism. Hey, we think we're going to be either exactly what people expect us to be, we're going to take a step forward next year, or we are going to surprise people and we're going to be the Commanders. We're going to be the team that comes out of nowhere and makes the postseason. That's the tone that I've picked up on our first 6 guests of the day.
I mean, that's what happens in May. Optimism runs supreme. I would say that it's, as the NFL calendar works, it's the draft. Everyone's excited they're about their own draft. Even if the draft grade comes out, you still believe your own guys. The schedule, I think these are all wins. Let's get excited. You think you can be better than the prognosticators think. And then at training camp, the minute you see guys, even in shorts and t-shirts, hit a practice field, people get way more excited about their team than they are. I think that's what's fun about sports. It's the optimism, it's the excitement, it's the building before you see the results.
So let's head to the phone lines right now and continue our journey. The first noon game of the year is the Chiefs taking getting a visit, from the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll head to the phone lines right now and be joined by Scott Goldbranson, who is the host of Silver and Black Today, to learn more about the Raiders. Scott, always happy to have you join us on the show. I'm assuming that optimism is very high right now for Vegas. You got a new coach. You got a new quarterback. Tom Brady is in the mix. This is very much a new look Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it is. And they really targeted, I think, key areas of need in the draft. Of course, you can't do everything in one draft, at least most teams can't. But the Raiders addressed so many of those needs, walking away, I think, for Raider Nation. And even for a lot of us who cover the Raiders nationally, it's very difficult because it's like, wait, this has been a dysfunctional organization for so long. To see things actually go according to what you would think would be an adult-related plan is a good thing, and it's got fans a lot excited, and I think it's got a lot of people in the NFL realizing that Pete Carroll and John Spytek as the new GM, that combination, along with, as you mentioned, Tom Brady, is really starting to perhaps finally change the trajectory of the franchise.
Scott, are you happy with the head coaching decision from the Las Vegas Raiders? I think it was well known in a lot of circles that the Raiders wanted Ben Johnson, who ultimately took the Bears job, to be the head coach. That's not how it played itself out, and they got a coach in Pete Carroll who certainly has a great resume, but is a little bit older. You don't think this is a long-term plan. Are you happy with the way that the head coaching situation worked out for the Raiders?
I am, and I think it actually was the best plan B that they had, because once Ben Johnson was clearly going to go to Chicago and people understood why, including the fact that he has a young quarterback there in Caleb Williams, I think what this organization needed was not only a culture change, but somebody who had been there before, somebody who could come in with the gravitas in the AFC West, as you know, being in Kansas City, having Andy Reid, having Sean Payton, and having Jim Harbaugh in the division. Having that veteran coach come in and kind of reset it and say, okay, you know, we're going to get this thing on the right track for 2 or 3 years or whatever Pete's going to handle and be able to do. And I think that was a good move. And I think if they weren't able to get the hottest commodity in young coaches, going to a guy like Pete Carroll was the right move. And I think it will finally stabilize the situation in Las Vegas.
So, Scott, if I asked you to rank the coaches in the AFC West, number one, you would put Andy Reid. I think he's earned to be at the top of that list. Who would you put at 4? Because it is a really, really strong argument. You can put, to me, any of those other 3 coaches at 2. You also could argue to put any of those other 3 coaches at 4 as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about everybody except Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl, and Harbaugh's been to the Super Bowl as a coach, and we know his history of turning franchises around. And look, what the Chargers have done this offseason, I'm sure you'll talk to somebody about that, or if you haven't already, and they're going to be tough too. It's hard, and I think that's why the Pete Carroll hire made a lot of sense, because, yeah, bringing a young coach in to that division, even Ben Johnson, who I think will be successful in the NFL, would have been tough. And so that, I think, was a great point of vision for Tom Brady, for Mark Davis, as they went out and decided after Ben Johnson, who could we get as coach? But yeah, I mean, you could draw it up, and I don't know who you put at 3 or 4 or 2. I mean, depending on what happens this year, I guess that'll answer the question for us a little bit.
Right now, we're talking to Scott Goldbranson, who covers the Raiders for Silver and Black Today, learning more about the AFC West rival for Kansas City in the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of people say you should never take a running back in round 1 of the NFL draft. You guys just didn't draft a running back in round 1. You selected one in the top 10 in Ashton Jeanty. What do you make of that decision? And what is the hope and optimism and excitement around one of the more exciting players in college football last season?
Well, again, I think if you look at it, and convention says, yeah, don't take a running back up there. But I'll tell you what, you look at Ashton Jeanty, and you're talking about a generational running back. Most people believe he led FBS in rushing with 2,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, and he forced missed tackles 152 times. So his ability to do that and to gain yards after contact, really, it was a great running back class, as you know, Carrington, in this draft. So a lot of people were like, well, wait till the second round or wait till the third round. But there was a great running back class, and then there was Ashton Jeanty. By the way, the Raiders were next to last in the NFL last year in rushing. A lot of people blame that on the offensive line. And while they did have some culpability there, the reality is they haven't had a running back since they decided to say goodbye to Josh Jacobs. So I think Jeanty does that. Jeanty also brings with him the type of attitude, energy, and I think cultural fit that Pete Carroll and Tom Brady really wanted. So getting him there, people finally came around to it, and the excitement is off the charts for Ashton Jeanty being another one of the faces of this franchise moving forward.
Scott, maybe I shouldn't say this being based in Kansas City, but I think that Brock Bowers is now the best tight end in the National Football League. Do you guys have anybody else in the pass game that teams should be worried about?
Well, I tell you what, he had some personal issues and missed a lot of the season last year. But you have the other tight end, Michael Mayer. Remember, he came out of Notre Dame in the second round just a couple years ago. He's a pass-catching maniac. The Raiders last year didn't have the offensive play caller to really take advantage of two tight end sets. So you can see that this year. Then you add in Jacoby Myers. Is Jacoby Myers a true number one? No, but he's a very good number two. And then you look at the kid they drafted out of TCU, and I'm telling you right now, Carrington, watch Jack Besh, who came out of TCU, as I mentioned. He's a physical, competitive wide receiver, 1,000 yards last year. He's savvy route runner. He's a willing blocker, and he's ideal for Chip Kelly's scheme. So I think you put Geno Smith, the cool, calm, collected guy, back there with those tools and a top running back. And I think this Raiders offense is finally going to start clicking and score some points. So, yeah, everybody around the AFC West, everybody around the AFC, I think is going to see a lot out of Brock Bowers and the supporting cast there in Las Vegas.
Scott, I'm looking at the over-under right now for the Las Vegas Raiders. It is at 6.5. What is the expectation this year with the Raiders? It can't be to win the division, but is it to be a wild card team? Is the expectation to be what the Broncos were last season and maybe be a team that could sneak in and grab a wild card spot? What is the expectation this year in Vegas?
Yeah, I think with fans, the expectation is they're going to win 10 games and go to the Super Bowl. But obviously, realism takes control, and I think the 6.5 number is actually realistic. Early on with the schedule coming out from the NFL when it came out, I picked them at 7 wins. I think that's the floor. I think the ceiling could be 9 or maybe 10 if everything went right, Carrington, and this defense, which lacks linebacking talent, overperforms, and the offensive line grows. DJ Glaze at right tackle ends up being the guy that they think he can be. Then, yeah, maybe they could do that. But I think overall, the expectation is that this team improves by 3 or 4 games, so that puts them at about 7 or 8 wins in a division that got better, in a division where the Chargers and the Chiefs probably going to face off for the title of the AFC West, and then the Broncos there too. We'll see how they do.
And that was Scott Goldbranson joining us on the show today with Silver and Black today. One of the teams in the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see if the Raiders can turn things around and start improving. Scott, great stuff as always, man. Look forward to catching up with you down the line.
Sounds good, Carrington. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. That is Scott Goldbranson, who covers the Raiders. Coming up on the other side, we are about halfway done. We are going to every city that plays the Chiefs this year. Week 8, Monday, October 27th. The Chiefs host the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. We'll head to the nation's capital next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5. The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Two-car crash, stopping traffic and really backing it up on the westbound lanes of 470. That is the exit to 50 Highway on the Metro Southeast side by Lee Summit. Right now, things are backed up to about Colburn Road. Also looking at slowdowns into downtown northbound 35 and also over the Bond Bridge. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
The pro football schedule has been released, and not too early to look ahead to Week 1, where Washington, a 7-point home favorite against the New York team in blue, total in the game 45.5. Washington surprise run to the conference championship game last season, and a deserved favorite here, but I think the New York team in blue is going to be much improved. Now, do I think the New York team in blue is going to win this game? I hope so, as a fan of the team. But I do think they can cover the spread even if they don't win, keep the game close with this ferocious pass rush. So New York +7, Week 1 pro football. The look here.
That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and take your game to the next level with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with cancer? You want the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. That's KCPI, the Kansas City Proton Institute. KCPI has a full suite of the most advanced imaging and treatment technology necessary to localize high-intensity proton beams. That's a critical part of maximizing cure rates while minimizing recovery time and long-term side effects. Proton therapy provides patients with the most advanced form of radiation treatments for cancer. It destroys cancer cells with supreme accuracy, reducing the risk of harmful side effects. KCPI has Kansas City's first and only system that uses pencil beam technology, resulting in precision targeting and less radiation to your surrounding healthy tissue. Proton therapy is now available in the comfort of an office at KCPI, making it more efficient and affordable than a hospital. So contact KCPI for the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. Don't wait. Get precision technology with the highest safety measures with KCPI. Online at kcpi.com.
If the high cost of living is weighing you down, lighten your load at Hy-Vee. This Saturday and Sunday, get a 25-cent per gallon fuel discount with every $50 purchase. Stock up on groceries and stack up the fuel savings. Earn 25 cents per gallon with your $50 purchase, 50 cents per gallon with a $100 purchase, and so on. The more you spend, the more you'll save. Your next fill-up could be free. Don't miss the 2-day Fuel Saver event this Saturday and Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
Graduation season is always so busy around our house, and when we have important celebrations, we trust Hy-Vee. They're my go-to partner for all of our family celebrations, and Hy-Vee can help you with your graduation party planning. They have party trays, personalized cakes, cookies, floral arrangements, party decor, and so much more. Plus, you can leave all the prep work and messy cleanup to Hy-Vee with full-service catering for any size celebration. Choose from a wide range of menu options to suit your style and your budget, only at Hy-Vee. For over 8 years, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain, with over 50,000 satisfied patients. People with knee and back pain now living pain-free. Shoulder and hip pain, gone. What they're doing is nothing short of remarkable. They're using regenerative cell therapy to restore the tissue in their achy joints. They're using biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life. The best part, with QC Kinetics, there are no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. It's an all-natural cellular level option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoy this summer without being slowed down by that awful joint pain in your knees or your back. Call QC Kinetics now and learn about these cutting-edge treatments that can help you live your best life. Call 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. It's QC Kinetics.
Hey there, Royals fans. We've got more ways to watch your boys in blue this season than ever before with FanDuel Sports Network. Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream all the action, or, new this season, Royals Baseball is now available on Amazon Prime Video as an add-on subscription. You can also access FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers like DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Royals.com/TV to learn more.
Go check out 96.5 The Fan's Instagram page for videos, giveaways, and behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2. Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, welcome back into the drive on 96.5 The Fan, 965thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. We are taking a stop at every team that plays the Kansas City Chiefs. If you've missed any team, be sure to check out the podcast page. We are now at week 8 of the NFL season. Monday, October 27th, the Chiefs play host to the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. Let's head to the phone lines right now and be joined by Kevin Sheehan, who covers the team. Kevin, really happy to have you join us today. Last year, Washington went from a top 5 pick to the playoffs off the strength of a rookie QB. I'm imagining that there's a lot of hope and optimism about the Commanders heading into this season.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I mean, it was just the 25 or so years, 30 years that came before that. Last year was the team's best season since the last time it won a Super Bowl in 91. And, you know, beyond that, it wasn't just a great season. It feels like it was the start of something because of how good Jaden Daniels was. You guys know the feeling, having an elite quarterback and feeling like, you know, there's a sustained kind of, you know, run in store. So, yeah, it was fun. And then the schedule coming out yesterday sort of reflected their new stature in the league.
More than anything, having that quarterback in Jaden Daniels, it just gives you hope that we all know the league is a have and have not business. You either have the quarterback or you don't have him. You mentioned knowing the feeling in Kansas City. You just go into every game knowing you got a chance to win because you got 15 under center. It sounds like you guys have that same feeling now with the young guy, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, it was only one season, but it was the greatest rookie quarterback season in the history of the league. And there was nothing about it that seemed fraudulent. You know, they had a subpar defense. He literally strapped the team to his back week in and week out. It wasn't one of those, you know, rookie quarterback seasons where it was defensive led or, you know, the running game and the O-line. No, they won 12 games last year in the regular season, and he was essentially responsible for like 10 or 11 out of the 12. And then he went on the road twice in the postseason and played great. And they got 2 road playoff games. But, yeah, I mean, there's one thing that guarantees a chance year in and year out more than anything else, and that is if you've got one of those guys, and there aren't many of them, but there's this feeling that he's going to be one of them if he isn't already.
I know this was a conversation in Kansas City, and I don't ask you this to rain on your parade. Are you worried at all about a sophomore slump? You're right. The rookie season was phenomenal. He completed almost 70% of his passes, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, NFC championship game. He is one of the brightest stars in the league. Are you worried about that sophomore slump creeping up?
I'm not, for a few reasons. Number one, he, like everybody's description of him that knows him, he's a gym rat. Like, he just loves the game and he works at it. And I think year 2 in Cliff Kingsbury's system has a chance to be an even more comfortable situation for him. 2, they added pieces. They added a left tackle on Laramie Tunsil. They added Deebo Samuel. They brought back a guy who ended up being a real nice kind of safety blanket for him, Zach Ertz. And then thirdly, again, you know, their team last year was probably the worst supporting cast he's going to play with. You know, they flipped the roster almost half of it to 2/3 of it. And it wasn't a great roster. It's improved. There's going to continue to be, I think, improvement in the future. I don't see this. You know, we were talking the other day. It's like, is there anything that he can improve upon that's obvious? No. The answer is no. Is it going to be easy to match last year? Probably not. But I would guess that there's no real feeling watching him this year that he regresses in any way.
Right now, we're talking to Kevin Sheehan, who covers the Washington Commanders, taking a closer look at one of the more surprising teams last year in the league. There's a lot of changes for this Commanders team. You guys go get Deebo Samuel. You guys go get Laramie Tunsil. Part of the hope and excitement has to be that your front office feels like this is a window for you guys and appears to be all in and trying to maximize that?
Yeah, no doubt. And it started at the trade deadline when they dealt for Marshawn Lattimore. Now, he wasn't healthy, and when he was, he didn't play well. He hadn't really acclimated to his new team and the new defense. So there's a lot of hope for him with an off season to get healthy and, sort of getting an understanding of what the defensive side of the ball requires of that position. But, yeah, I mean, they are looking at this rookie contract window and, being 60 minutes from the Super Bowl last year and saying, why not? This is like window number one in the Jaden Daniels era where, there will be others down the road, I'm sure, but they can't even begin to think about paying them until 2027.
There are a lot of weapons on the offensive side of it. Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel. This is one of the better equipped offenses in the league. From a defensive standpoint, do you guys think you have a championship-led defense that can help out your young quarterback?
Not yet, and that was the issue last year. They were not a good defensive team. They really struggled against the run in particular. So last year, they faced Cooper Rush, Trey Lance, Spencer Rattler, Andy Dalton. The quarterbacks that they ended up facing and the offensive football teams that they faced weren't that great. They faced some really good running backs, and they struggled really against the run. But this year, Mahomes, Herbert, Dak twice maybe, Detroit's offense, Tua and Miami's offense, Jordan Love, not to mention running backs like Josh Jacobs and, Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley twice. So this is the big question mark for Washington heading into 2025. They've got to be improved defensively. Their offense will win enough games for them to be in contention to make the postseason. I believe that. But can they go beyond, where Philadelphia is in their own division? They're going to have to be much better defensively. And right now, they didn't do anything in the offseason that would make you convinced that they're going to be better against what appears to be a tougher schedule. And maybe some of the guys that didn't get opportunities or were young last year will really develop. Maybe year two in Joe Witt Jr.'s system will be better. But that's the big question mark for Washington this year. Their defense, because it wasn't good last year, and there's no, obvious, the area in which they improved significantly in the offseason.
Kevin, I'll get you out of here with this last question. The over-under right now for the Washington Commanders is at 9.5. Now, you and I know this league well enough. I always say there's 6 teams that we think are going to be good. Something's going to happen. Those teams are going to miss the playoffs. There's then 6 teams that we don't have a lot of hope in. You guys were one of those teams last year that's going to greatly exceed your expectations, and they're going to make a little bit of a push. It feels like you can make a case one way or the other for Washington. You can make a case that they get better and that they go to the Super Bowl this upcoming year, or you can make a case that they are one of the biggest regression cases in this upcoming season. Where are you at with the Commanders heading into 2025?
Well, the way you introed this, I talk about all the time. The league changes so much year to year. It changes week to week, basically. But like the Chiefs and like, Buffalo, I'm starting to think that we have that kind of quarterback that's going to really prevent a bad season. Now, he could get injured, clearly, but as long as he stays upright for 17 games, Washington's going to win more games than they lose, and they're going to have a chance to make the postseason. And I see a 10-win, another double-digit win season and a playoff season. In terms of whether or not they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, the NFC is actually much better than we thought before last year. Philly's good. The Rams are good. The whole NFC North is good. Who knows about the 49ers this year? I think it'll come down to whether or not Washington's improved defensively. If they are, they'll be a legitimate deep into the postseason threat.
And that is Kevin Sheehan joining us on the show today with Team 980 in Washington, D.C. The Washington Commanders are one of the surprise stories in the league. We'll see if they can replicate it in 2025. Kevin, great stuff. Appreciate you making time for us today, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was learning a little bit more about the Commanders. Coming up in the next segment, two teams that you guys probably dislike more than any other two teams in the league. We will head to Buffalo. We will head to Denver. Week 9 is a road game against the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs have their bye week, Week 10. Week 11, the Chiefs go on the road against the Denver Broncos. There are not a lot of easy pockets in this schedule. You go from Washington, Buffalo, and Denver 3 straight weeks. 3 teams that all made the postseason last year. We'll head to Buffalo and Denver coming up on the other side. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Almost Andy Reid here. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and Renner Garage Door is giving back. 5% of sales go to Authentic Life Foundation, and you get 5% off your project. Visit rennerdoor.com.
RENNER. Kansas City Chiefs tickets are on sale now. Tickets for all home games are now available, but quantities are limited. Catch the Chiefs against the Eagles, Lions, Ravens, Commanders, and more. Be there to watch them take on our AFC West Division rivals. Reserve your seats now for the loudest stadium, best tailgate, and the team built for excitement. Visit Chiefs.com for details. That's Chiefs.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC homebuyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Hi, this is Toby Tobin along with Jason Goodenkoff from Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. Hi, Jason. Hello, Toby. Holy cow, you've done it again.
We've done it again, Toby. We won the President's Award again this year. This is the 22nd time we've been awarded this awesome honor from Ford Motor Company.
But what is the President's Award?
The President's Award is the top award Ford Motor Company gives its dealers for excellence in customer satisfaction in both sales and service and their sales penetration numbers. So we are super honored to have received this award for the 22nd time.
It covers the whole works at Lewisburg Ford.
Absolutely, and it's a testament to the awesome people we have working at Lewisburg Ford and helping our customers, and it really shows with this award because it's only a few dealers that get it, and we've done it 22 times.
I guarantee you this is the best place to buy a Ford car or truck in the Midwest.
Absolutely. You couple that President's Award lineage with our no-hassle Toby Tobin pricing, it does not get any better than that.
What is your toll-free number?
816-444-2300.
Or LewisburgFord.com.
Here is your game of the week, presented by Hyundai. After leading their first-round playoff series 2-0, Winnipeg allowed St. Louis to make a run for the series. With an absolutely electric Game 7, Winnipeg was able to secure the series with a double overtime win at home. Now the Central Winners battle is a series against their divisional foes in Dallas, who will be able to clinch the series and advance to the Western Conference Finals. Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from the truck drifting towards your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you. And Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006 because Hyundai's always working to ensure the road doesn't get you. IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus Awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Has your home been on the market without success? An expired listing can feel frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. The Sharp Homes team specializes in turning things around. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. In fact, contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. You can Google them at Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleInKC.com and start packing.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic brought to you by Midwest Auto Services. Traffic slow behind a collision involving 2 cars westbound 470, right at 50 Highway eastbound. That's on the Metro Southeast side. And a stalled out car eastbound 435, right at Metcalf. Seeing some brake lights back to 69 Highway. Slow over the Bond Bridge and into downtown northbound 71. Is driving your vehicle like fighting a wild bull? Does it lead, pull, or feel out of sync when you accelerate or brake? Are you replacing tires a lot due to poor wear? Let Midwest Auto Services check your alignment. Call 816-224-4247 or MidwestAutoservices.com. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome to your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
We are talking to somebody that covers every team that is on the Chiefs' schedule. In this segment, we are going to head to Buffalo. We also are going to head to Denver. On Sunday, November 2nd, the Chiefs play a 3:25 game on CBS against the Buffalo Bills. On November 16th, they have a bye week sandwiched in between. They go on the road and they play the 3:25 game on CBS against the Denver Broncos. So I'm imagining that big CBS is picking that up. You know, you can play on CBS and then you can play on big CBS. I mean, that's where Nance and Romo and Tracy Wolfson come into town. Or you might just get Spiro Dides and Charles Davis calling the game. That's just regular old CBS. I'm guessing that both of these games, they're going to get all the trimmings. They're going to get all the work as the marquee game of the weekend. Certainly the Buffalo Bills game is. The Broncos game, a game in the division. 2 teams that have great history against one another. 2 teams that made the postseason the year before. I imagine that is going to be one of the more important and key games of the week. Let's kick things off by heading to Buffalo, New York, to be joined by Jeremy White. At this point, Jeremy White might be on the show more than I'm on the show. We always have to stop by Buffalo because these 2 teams are always in the mix. Jeremy, happy to have you join us on the show. What's different about Buffalo now than the last time we saw them go against Kansas City?
Well, they set out to kind of reinvent their defense and remake their front 4. They added in free agency. They focused in the draft. A very heavy changeover on the defense. So Joey Bosa is maybe the biggest name. Michael Hoyt from the Rams came over. Larry Ogunjobi. These were the free agent signings to try and remake this front 7. And then in the draft, it went corner to start, but then a defensive tackle, another defensive end, another defensive tackle. So the idea is they want to get a better group overall at getting to quarterbacks and get a better pass rush and just be more disruptive in the defensive game. So it really was about finding a defense that they can put together on the field in the playoffs that they can count on because that has been something that has escaped them the last few years.
It feels to me, at least the logic behind it, and tell me if I'm wrong, going to get Joey Bosa, this sounds like the Von Miller move from a few years ago, just significantly cheaper.
Yeah, with a lot less risk. It's a one-year deal. There's some void years in there. The deal's kind of structured where if it goes well, it would make sense for the Bills to extend him. But they have limited options to try and get better at defensive end. This offseason was also about extending their own. They had 4 big contract extensions for their own players: Christian Benford, Khalil Shakir, Bernard. So money was a little bit limited in that regard. It's a one-year deal. Ogunjobi's a one-year deal as well. Just trying to kind of fill some gaps and kind of usher in the second era of Josh Allen and Sean McDermott together, because last year was talked about as a big-time transition year. This, to me, feels like the second stage of that transition.
What's happening right now with James Cook? There appears to be a contract discrepancy. He wants to get paid. The Bills don't seem like they want to pay him. Usually these things get done. Where are we at with James Cook's contract?
Yeah, the thing that makes this one interesting is he's kind of tweeted out some numbers that he wants or put on Instagram, and those numbers probably aren't realistic for him. He wants what Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley make in that neighborhood, and he's just not that caliber of a player. The Bills don't really use him on all 3 downs. They don't use him in pass protection. They value him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I bet there's a number that they would agree to, but Brandon Beane, in commenting on the negotiations, flat out said, we can get to it next year, which we all kind of identified as a little bit of a line in the sand. So unless Cook comes back to them willing to take significantly less, we don't really know what the number is. We just know the Bills are probably not all that comfortable with 15, and it's a team that has shown a willingness to draft running backs in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round because they've done that an awful lot. So Cook, they probably see to some degree as replaceable, but he's explosive, and they need explosive players on their offense that are not named Josh Allen and provide that. So I think they'll let him play the contract out, and by the time we get to the offseason next year, it'll be a big, big issue.
Right now, we're talking to Jeremy White from WGR in Buffalo, taking a closer look at the Week 9 opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. These are the 2 best teams in the AFC. They're constantly matched up against one another. Jeremy, I know you took some arrows for this, but I agreed with you when it came to the Bills wide receiver room. That's a conversation that a general manager would have with me. I'm looking at their depth chart. I'm looking at Shakir and Coleman and Joshua Palmer and Elijah Moore. That's not a great wide receiver room, and I do think that more could have been done there. How do you feel about the weapons that Josh Allen has heading into this season?
Well, the good news is they're better going into the season than they were last year. Last year, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Mac Hollins were their outside options. And now going into this year, in addition to Keon Coleman, who returns, now this year, I think Josh Palmer's a little better. And I think that Elijah Moore, who they added after the draft, is probably better than some of the guys they had last year. Yeah, getting to what I took arrows for, I asked the GM if he values receiver enough, because I frankly don't think that he does. Last year, they got pretty far without having any big-name receivers. Khalil Shakir had a nice year. But the funny thing about the way the Bills are doing this, it's not just that they aren't drafting them. They're paying a decent amount of money to not have anybody be the standout guy. And when I asked Brandon Beane about that, the idea was, why not draft one in the 4th round? Why not keep this young and keep this cheap and have somebody potentially break out? Jalen Royals was a guy we talked about maybe in that kind of spot. So, the Bills, I think they have upgraded a little bit, but they almost have this reputation of like, oh, well, that's okay. They don't need to pay receivers, but they are. They're paying 9 for Curtis Samuel and 10 for Josh Palmer and 5 for Elijah Moore off the street after the draft. So I don't think they're great at that position, but they think Josh Allen can carry them, and they also think there are other pass catchers, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, Ty Johnson, and James Cook in this role can kind of pick that up. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't think I was wrong when I brought it up with the GM, but he's pretty bullish on the offense that he's built, and he wasn't too shy about saying it's the defense. It's the defense that's been the problem. So something that we, of course, keep an eye on because the defense is often associated with his head coach.
And I imagine that you also see some truth in that when it comes to the defense. I mean, the question for me with Buffalo, I imagine this is the question for you as well. I mean, have they made enough changes? Does this defense line up enough with Kansas City and Baltimore to be able to get over the hump? Buffalo feels like a team that is right there. They feel like one of the 5 best teams in the league. But in order to go to San Francisco, in order to go to the Super Bowl, you already know the teams and the quarterbacks you have to go up against, and you're also hoping, to your point, that you have enough firepower. You're also hoping that you can get enough stops and get off the field to actually beat those teams.
Yeah. It's like we kind of talk about it around here, like the Bills, they're trying to find the missing 4 points. It's either have the Chiefs or the Ravens score 4 less or score 4 more. And it's 2 straight years where the Bills go out to the Chiefs where Josh Allen does have the ball and the offense is on the field with a chance to tie or take the lead, and they don't get the job done. And, you could decide to blame the defense there. And Brandon Beane, I don't think, was wrong to want to kind of rebuild his defense. He kind of claimed that we hated his draft, which we didn't. But on that final drive in Kansas City, AFC Championship game, the Bills can't throw the ball down the field. They can't throw past the line of scrimmage. I've got screens to Khalil Shakir and Dawson Knox, and I've got 4th and 5, an orbit motion play is the call because they can't get open down the field, and Allen tries to make a superhero play to get the ball to Dalton Kincaid, nearly does. 3rd and 10, it's a screen to Amari Cooper, and for me, it just kind of looks like the offense is on a little bit of a leash because they don't have any downfield threats. And hopefully Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore can make that difference this year, and hopefully the players they've added on defense can as well, because they were definitely beat up in the secondary. It's another part of the defense. As much as it's about their front four, their defense is built on the back end. And last year, Christian Benford misses that game with an injury. Their safeties were not very good. That's where they've also made some investments, added a safety in free agency. And the first-round pick, Max Harrison at corner, could make a difference as well. So it's really about trying to find those 4 points that would be the difference between a win and a loss.
Jeremy, last question here, handicapping the AFC East, handicapping the Bills division. Do you see any team that we need to worry about? I'm not worried about the Jets, not really worried about the Patriots, at least in terms of winning the division. I do think they'll be improved. They're maybe a year away from that conversation. I never have any clue what to make of the Dolphins. They feel like a team that can only beat that kind of 2nd and 3rd tier, but haven't really shown that they can compete with the heavyweights. Do you see anybody else in the AFC East that you guys need to be worried about?
I think the Patriots are absolutely on the way, depending on how big of a leap Drake May can actually take. Like, they are definitely improved. There's no doubt about that. The question is, did they do enough? Did they have enough other pieces there around him, offensive line, receivers, all that? It remains to be seen, but I'd pick New England to be on the come pretty quickly. I think May is on the Allen track, and, it could be a big deal for them if he is a big improvement this year.
That is our guy, Jeremy White of WGR in Buffalo, stopping by today. The Chiefs play the Bills week 9 of the NFL season, another game that will certainly be one of the more watched games in the regular season. These are 2 teams that always play each other close, and you know that this is going to have serious playoff implications on who could potentially host the AFC Championship game. Jeremy, great stuff as always. Something tells me that you'll be on the show like 2 or 3 more times down the line.
Yeah, we'll be talking in January like we always do.
So the Chiefs have this stretch, week 9. They play the Buffalo Bills November the 2nd. They have a bye week in week 10, and then week 11, they play the Denver Broncos for the first time. A little bit late to be playing a team for the first time that's in your division. They play everybody else earlier in the division. They don't play the Broncos for the first time until the middle of November. They also play them on Christmas night. That game is at Arrowhead Stadium, a 7:15 kickoff on Amazon Prime. So we're only going to have one Denver interview, obviously. We don't need to head to Denver multiple times because we got Josh Dover. He's going to tell us everything we need to know about the Broncos. Josh, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, Carrington. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. What has been the biggest change in the Broncos from the last time that they played the Chiefs?
Well, they're getting a little bit more respect with the schedule coming out, right, with 4 primetime games and one of those London trips for a nice and early wake-up call for Broncos fans. So that's changed, a little bit more respect. They've added in the backfield R.J. Harvey, a guy that Sean Payton believes was one of the better running backs. Not necessarily the one I wanted them to pick in the draft, but they've added him. And then Pat Bryant. He's starting to get a little love here locally, a kid from Illinois that might be able to come in and make some noise as a rookie. So they've bulked up the offense through the draft, and they focused on the defense in free agency. And if those dudes can stay healthy and stay right, the defense should be better too.
I will say this. I'm surprised at how good Bo Nix was last year. I wasn't super high on him coming out of Oregon. I just thought he had a relatively low ceiling, but he was just a much better quarterback than I anticipated last year. And I really think that having such high level experience at Auburn, at Oregon, I think that allowed him to hit the ground running as the Broncos starting quarterback. Now we are heading into year 2. What did you make of Bo Nix in year 1? And are you hopeful and optimistic that he can continue to grow and grow heading into his second year in Denver?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the pick. I mean, they didn't have many options, and they needed a quarterback. So it wasn't, hey, this is the wrong decision. They made a choice at quarterback, and it turned out to be the right one. Sean Payton says it was his one forever, and the fit seems to be there. So we don't have a lot of reason to not believe him. He was good. It took a few weeks, a handful of weeks, maybe even 6, for him to really get comfortable and start to, know what his job is in the NFL and certainly in Sean Payton's system. Surprised everybody, I think, with some of those legs. Maybe that's what you're talking about, too, with his experience at bigger level colleges. He's athletic and he can move, and he got better putting the football in certain places. He developed a great connection with a guy like Cortland Sutton. Him and Marvin Mims started to figure some things out at the latter part of the season. I think Sean can help him out with the running game, and I mentioned R.J. Harvey. We'll see if he gets a real opportunity to be kind of a workhorse back. That's not what Sean likes to do, but I think it's something that Bo would really benefit from. So there's a lot of expectations around here for Bo Nix, man. We've been quarterback desperate for a long time, and he's checked a bunch of boxes in year 1. So a lot of expectations in year 2.
Josh, if you had to rank Bo Nix, where would you sort of put him? He's certainly not top 5. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback yet in his career. If you had to sort of place him among the other quarterbacks, about where do you have him?
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly not top 5. I don't want to go crazy with you on that one. Top 10 is probably pushing it too. If that's like the end of the second tier or the bottom of the third tier of quarterbacks, that's probably where he is right now. But by the end of this season, if things go right and he takes another step like I think he will, then I think he will be talked about as a top 10 quarterback, and closer to 10 than 1 for sure. But he's not there quite yet. He's marching in the right direction. And like I said, man, this city's been desperate for any kind of quarterback that's not Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, Phillip Lindsay at one point, another wide receiver. I could go on and on. So he's on his way to being a top 10 quarterback by January of next year.
Last Bo Nix question. Let's say that tomorrow the Patriots call and say that we made a mistake. We like Drake May, but we probably should have got Bo Nix. We want to do a straight-up trade. We'll trade Drake May to you guys for Bo Nix. Are you guys doing the trade?
Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. So I will respectfully decline that trade, and I think a lot of folks here in Broncos country and even George Payton and really Sean Payton, who runs the show, would say the same.
Right now, we're talking to Josh Dover, who covers the Denver Broncos, learning a little bit more about the Broncos. The Chiefs play the Broncos in Week 11. They also play them in Week 17 on Christmas Day. That game is at Arrowhead, 7:15 kick on Amazon Prime. Defensively, how do you think you guys match up with Kansas City? Offensively, I think you guys have some nice pieces, but I don't want to paint it like this Broncos team is just overwhelming offensively. But on defense, there's a lot of names. You guys might have the best corner in the National Football League. Do you guys feel defensively you match up well against Kansas City?
Definitely, man. Definitely. You talk about PS2, and everybody kind of knows him, so we don't need to talk much there. But they add Jahdae Barron with the 20th overall pick, who a lot of people could make the argument is the best player in the draft in the secondary. Riley Moss got hurt in that last month and didn't really recover and play at the level that he was before, but there's still some expectations there. Now, the question marks are Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, who they signed in the offseason. If they can stay right, that's going to help a lot, because Brandon Jones, that other safety, had a pretty good first year with the Broncos. And if Hufanga can stay healthy, I think that tandem's going to be really good. And then Dre Greenlaw, I mean, I guess it's like a battle of the old guys fighting Father Time between Travis Kelce and Dre Greenlaw. But I like Dre Greenlaw. Hopefully he can recover from the injury he got working out. But, I mean, how much working out's Travis even doing? Doesn't he just follow his girlfriend around everywhere?
Josh, we're not having that. We came in, we invited you on as a friendly gesture. Now you taking shots at Travis Kelce and his lady. We didn't ask for that.
I'm sorry. I had to. You know I had to.
You guys over-under is 9.5 this year. You taking the over or the under?
I'm going to take the over, but not much further than 10, 11. It's probably what we did the whole schedule game on our radio show here. and I got to 11. But there's always a game they shouldn't lose that they'll lose, and a game that they shouldn't win and they win. So if it's at 9.5, I like that number. I'll go over.
I'm going to tell you what a lot of people in Kansas City are saying, and I'm going to be the person that leads the charge because I also feel this way about the Broncos. I think a major reason of why they made the postseason last year was just schedule driven. I mean, I'm looking at their wins. They beat Kansas City at the end of the year when Kansas City wasn't trying. They beat the Colts. They beat the Browns. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Raiders. They beat Carolina, New Orleans. Like, they racked up a lot of big wins against bad football teams. They seem prime for a regression year to me. Everybody's hopeful. Everybody's optimistic about Denver. They win 9 games. They make the postseason. This year, they go 6-11, 7-10. That's just what it feels like to me with the Broncos this year.
I will say I don't have a lot of argument with the first part of that because, I mean, they had multiple opportunities to punch their own ticket without playing a bunch of reserves from the Chiefs in that last game. So it can feel a little bit like that, and I understand that, but I'll tell you what I tell my buddies at the bar at the end of the night. Beggars can't be choosers, man. It's been a long time since the Broncos were in the postseason. It's been a long time since there were good vibes about this football team. So we took them any way we could get them last year, and I think they're better this year, like 10-11 wins.
All right, Josh, last thing here. I want you to paint me the scenario in which the Broncos win the AFC West.
You know, the Chiefs take another step back. The one-score wins that Kansas City had, what was that, 10-11 of those last year, more often turn into losses. And then you can't get swept by the Chargers in the division. You have to sweep the Raiders in the division. You have to take care of all of your home games pretty much. A one-loss situation at home. One of your away games is that London game versus a bad Jets team. You have to win those games. So it's a lot reliant upon the Chiefs not taking a step forward or finding themselves again, and Denver just riding the momentum of what they did in year one, add a bit of an element of running the dang football, and they can win this AFC West as soon as this year.
Well, Josh, I hope you look forward to your last basketball game of the year coming up later today, and I hope you're looking forward to Michael Porter having, 5 points on 1 of 9 shooting later today.
Well, the Michael Porter thing, I got no argument, but Nuggets win and then unfortunately lose on Sunday. But they stay alive tonight, Carrington.
That is Josh Dover joining us on the show today, Denver Sports 103. The Chiefs play the Broncos 2 times this year, once in Week 11 and once in Week 17. Josh, great stuff, my man.
Always good talking to you, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Josh Dover joining us on the show today. Maybe you guys think I'm a hater of the Broncos, and that's perfectly fine. I can live with that. If you go through their wins last year, they didn't beat anybody. They beat Tampa Bay early on in the season. They went on the road. That was a nice win for the Broncos, no question. They beat the Raiders twice. They beat the Jets. They beat the Saints. They beat the Panthers. They beat Cleveland. They beat Indianapolis. They beat a game against Kansas City in which Kansas City basically said, here, you take it. We don't even care about this game. We'll give it to you. The Broncos just didn't beat a lot of good teams. And sometimes teams make the playoffs because they're good. Sometimes teams in the NFL make the playoffs because their schedule lines up correctly. And that's what the Broncos were last year. We'll continue to go through the Chiefs' schedule. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
Hey, it's Lucas Ursig from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with CDOT on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
So we had Mark Canna on the show last week, and we were talking about barbecue restaurants in town that he's been to, and Gates Barbecue was one of those places. He considers himself to be a foodie. Wouldn't you take the advice of somebody who considers themselves to be a foodie? Well, with 5 locations around town, you were never too far away from that classic Gates barbecue taste. And right now, all locations are serving the Gates Burnt E Mac. It's delicious mac and cheese topped with some Gates burnt in. It's a meal all by itself. Or maybe you want to get that as a side and you want to put that with a beef on bun to go, please. Maybe you want to put that with a mixed plate. You certainly can do that as well, and make sure you get some of those wonderful Gates fries. You also got to get a strawberry pop to wash all of that down. Well, grilling season is right around the corner. That means you got to restock on your sauces. You got to restock on your seasonings. You can do that in store, any one of the locations. You can do that on the website, gatesbbq.com, or the next time you go to the grocery store. So the next time you're thinking barbecue, and I know you are with the weather as nice as it is right now outside, be sure you're thinking about Gates Barbecue.
Royals coverage sponsored by Park and Go, the best deals on airport parking.
Step up to the plate and hit a home run with Casey's best airport parking. It's Park and Go. Great service, low price, zero hassle, open 24/7, and all spots are covered. Don't get caught looking. Strike three. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here. And we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See kslottery.com for details.
Anyone who loves playing baseball or softball knows that one of the first steps in that journey is breaking in your first glove. It's where your love of the game began. Where does your child's baseball or softball journey begin? Go to playball.org to get started. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Kansas City, it's time to laugh out loud at Big Slick 2025. Enjoy a night of comedy, music, and shenanigans at the Big Slick Show on May 31st at T-Mobile Center, with all proceeds benefiting Children's Mercy. Will there be shouting? Definitely. Screaming? Yes. Jackhammering? No. But I like the enthusiasm. Tickets are on sale now at bigslickkc.org. Peace and quiet are not invited, but you are. Librarians are also invited, but no shushing, please.
When you buy a new house, you might say,
"Shut the front door."
Winning!
No, seriously, shut the front door. We own this house now.
But you actually need to say,
"Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there."
That's right. The local State Farm agent is there to help you choose the coverage you need.
Welcome to my crib. No one says that anymore, but I don't care.
So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Two-car crash on the right shoulder of southbound 35 and Lamar. Traffic heavy back to the state line. Stalled out car closing the right lane of northbound 435 just past Front Street. Northbound 435 looking at pretty significant delays down to 23rd Street. Also looking at some slowdowns eastbound 435 that starts at 69 Highway, eases up right at about Metcalf. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
There are some teams in his career that have given him a little bit of trouble. Now, there's not a lot of these teams in the National Football League that give Patrick Mahomes trouble. But for some reason, the Indianapolis Colts are on this list. Did you know that Patrick Mahomes has never won a game against the Indianapolis Colts? Did you know this? They have, in fact, beat every other team in the National Football League with Patrick Mahomes as a starting quarterback except one. And the team is the Indianapolis Colts. They get a chance to play the Indianapolis Colts later this season, November 23rd at Arrowhead. The game is at noon. That is a game that is getting the top TV. That's not getting the game with the sound. I'm watching Red Zone, and I got the Chiefs on the top TV, and maybe, just maybe, I'll move them down to the bottom TV, depending on how either Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson is playing in that game. Let's go to Indianapolis right now to be joined by Kevin Bowen of 105.7 The Fan in Indy and get his thoughts on the Colts this year. Kevin, happy to have you join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Boy, I kind of forgot about that stat. The Colts should honestly probably hang a banner in Lucas Oil Stadium for that stat.
I'm with you. They probably should hang a banner. All right, let's just start with this. Let's get it out of the way. The quarterback situation. I think this is the bottom 5 situation in the league. I don't think that Daniel Jones has proven that he's a consistent starter in this league. Anthony Richardson certainly hasn't proven it. This feels like a team that is simply playing out the year, and then they're going to draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah, bottom 5 honestly might be a compliment. I'd probably put it bottom 1 or 2 in the league. I don't know how many else you're going to find that's in more of a dire situation. So, yeah, Richardson obviously hasn't shown you that he can be the franchise quarterback at all. And now you're trying to really do – if either Richardson or Jones works out, it'd be rather unprecedented in the history of the NFL. I know a lot of people say, what about Sam Darnold? What about Geno Smith? What about Baker Mayfield? If you look at it, those guys didn't start 70 games, for one franchise before moving on. And I would argue some of them even showed maybe a little bit more of a glimmer than that. So, are either of them going to get enough reps to tangibly improve this offseason, or will splitting the reps and having a competition keep two, below average quarterbacks below average? So, yes, it's a dire situation. It's not ideal by any means, and I don't have a whole lot of optimism.
Are you guys having a competition for who the starting quarterback is going to be, or is it Anthony Richardson until something goes wrong and then they'll go to Daniel Jones?
No, they say competition, and actually they kind of mean it. I do think Jones would probably have to win it, by more than 50% to be the starter, but they have said that they will split reps. OTAs will begin here in about 2 weeks. We'll see how long this plays into training camp, but yeah, honestly, if I probably had to bet, what was it, Colts Chiefs, you said week 12, week 13, something like that. I'd say at that point of the season, probably whoever lost the competition coming out of camp will probably be the starter at that point, because people will be clamoring for that guy to take the starter's job once the starter doesn't play very well.
Right now, I'm looking at the Colts. Their over-under is at 7.5. That feels kind of high to me for the Colts this year, maybe a game or two higher. I'd be a little surprised if the Colts won 8 or 9 games this year, but Vegas, they usually get these things right. Are you taking the over or the under on the Colts?
Well, you got to remember they are in the easiest division in football. So, that is beneficial to them. I don't know. I'd have to take maybe a closer look at the schedule. I know the home schedule does not have a lot of good quarterbacks. Now, the road schedule, which obviously includes Kansas City, there are some pretty good quarterbacks. They have 3 trips to L.A. and Seattle, 2 to L.A., 1 to Seattle. They also have a game in Berlin against Atlanta. So, we're not used to, like, middle-of-the-country teams, in Indianapolis necessarily having a big travel schedule. But this year they do. So, yeah, 7.5 is probably a very good number. What were they, 8, 9 the year before? For the most part, they've kind of hovered. 2022 was awful, but they've kind of hovered right around 8-ish wins. So, yeah, 7.5 probably seems like a very good number.
Do you think any of the other teams can challenge Houston for the division?
No, I think it is a C.J. Stroud torn ACL away from, it being a not a very competitive sort of division. For as bad as Houston played at times last season, and I think nationally, hey, what's happened with the Texans? They clinched the AFC South with 3 weeks to go. That's crazy to do that without, like, a great record. Obviously, Kansas City and other teams have done it, but, they've had great records. So, Jacksonville obviously had a very entertaining offseason. We'll see what Cam Ward can do. But, even with Houston having some question marks, I would still think the Texans are the heavy, heavy favorite.
That is Kevin Bowen joining us on the show today, 107.5 The Fan in Indianapolis. Kevin, there are some people that we've gone 10 minutes with. I don't know if the Colts fit the 10-minute criteria today.
Boy, I'd like to stand up for my city. I don't know. Hey, how about the Pacers? How about the Indy 500? But honestly, that's probably a very, very fair statement.
You know what? How about this? I will give all of those minutes that we had for you. I'll give them to the Dallas Cowboys coming up next. That work for you?
Oh, come on. They definitely don't deserve it either just because they're in a bigger market. But, yeah, might as well.
You know what? Just for that, Kevin, I'm going to give them to the Tennessee Titans coming up later today. That is Kevin Bowen joining us on the show today. Thanks, Kevin.
You bet. Have a good one.
Absolutely. That's Kevin Bowen joining us on the show. I want to correct something I said earlier. Mahomes has beaten the Colts in the postseason. He has never beaten them in the regular season. He has 89 regular season wins. He has never beaten the Colts in the regular season. That is, in fact, the only team in the National Football League that he has not beaten in the regular season is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm guessing that they fixed that this year and that they win a home game late in the year against the Indianapolis Colts. They play the Colts this year late in the season, week 12 at Arrowhead. I'm going to tell you this right now. That's the game I'm selling my tickets to if I'm a Chiefs fan. There are not many games in which I would be like, you know what, we might stay home for this one. Their home schedule is amazing this year. It's an amazing home schedule. The one that you look at and it's like, I guess that's the noon game. This is right before Thanksgiving, noon game against the Indianapolis Colts. That's by far and away the worst game that they have, at least on the home schedule. They got a road game right before Christmas against the Titans. That game's not very thrilling. But November 23rd, as you're starting to get ready for the holidays, a noon kick against the Colts, Buzz Wolf.
That feels like the game where me and you for a week are going to describe the fact that the Colts have absolutely no chance beating the Chiefs, and the text line's going to get all weird, and you guys are jinxing it. Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah, no, you know that's
Richardson.
happening. No, that's 100%. You've already seen into the future. That's going to be the Colts are like 4-8, and I'm like, come on now, why are we doing this? Well, it's football. You remember that time where Chris Jones? That is 100% what's going to happen. That's a good catch by you. That's certainly going to be it's football. Any given Sunday, it's parody. Well, hold on. This is week 12. If the Chiefs lose week 12 against the Colts, they got problems. Something is going on with the Chiefs if they lose. I don't care how many points they win that game by. They beat Carolina late in the season by a last-second field goal. I'm not saying they got to blow the Colts out. If the Chiefs lose a game around Thanksgiving to the Colts, something has gone wrong this season for the Chiefs. Somebody is injured for the Chiefs. They are not close to living up to their expectations. That's not a team that should beat you late in the season. Not at all. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll head to Dallas to talk about their Thanksgiving game against the Cowboys. We'll also talk about some of the top stories around the country. Keep it right here. So Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
For the first time in a long time, I'm willing to dream that this can be a special season for the Missouri Tigers.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Looking at slowdowns into downtown, northbound 35, northbound 435. That's heavy starting at about eastbound 70 and all the way up to Front Street. Northbound 35 looking heavy as well from 69 Highway off and on to Antioch. Southbound 49 looking at traffic as well from about Truman Drive through 163rd Street. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Hey, it's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here. Are you feeling tired, maybe a little foggy, or just not like yourself? Well, it could be low T. Symptoms like low energy, poor sleep, and a lack of motivation. They don't have to control your life. And at Heartland Men's Health, they specialize in treating low testosterone and helping men regain their vitality and confidence. With just a simple, quick quiz at heartlandmenshealth.com, you can find out if you're experiencing low T, and then you can book a $100 consultation. They'll run your labs, and within 30 minutes, you'll have your answers. And if you start treatment that day, then the visit is on the house. In just weeks, you'll feel more energy, get better sleep, improve workouts, and have a stronger sex drive. So don't let this hold you back. Pick up the phone. Don't wait. Call 844-447-6600 or visit heartlandmenshealth.com today. Heartland Men's Health has 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City. Reclaim your energy and confidence today.
This report is brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Proud partner of the Kansas City Royals. Each can of Surfside is only 100 calories, and the best part, 0 bubbles. Grab it at the K or ask for it at your favorite bars and liquor stores. Royals coverage sponsored by Metal by the Foot, your metal project superstore.
Where can you find an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire? Metal by the Foot, located in Casey and Topeka. Online at metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
After we met and we started dating, Nancy and I lived 150 miles apart, and I would drive my old jalopy car, and it was roughly a 3-hour distance. It took 3 years I drove across that state, back and forth, dating her every weekend.
Persistence.
And I would have never stopped. I had a lot of energy back then, 36 years ago.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Honey, our new James Hardy siding from Powell Exteriors KC looks so good. Our house went from worst to first. The neighbor waved at me today with her whole hand. I'm ready for phase 2 of our home transformation. Let's call Powell about that new deck. They're offering financing at 0% for 18 months on everything. You should call today at 816-656-1160 or take another look at their stunning work on powellkc.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
If the high cost of living is weighing you down, lighten your load at Hy-Vee. This Saturday and Sunday, get a 25-cent per gallon fuel discount with every $50 purchase. Stock up on groceries and stack up the fuel savings. Earn 25 cents per gallon with your $50 purchase, 50 cents per gallon with a $100 purchase, and so on. The more you spend, the more you'll save. Your next fill-up could be free. Don't miss the 2-day Fuel Saver event this Saturday and Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
Graduation season is always so busy around our house, and when we have important celebrations, we trust Hy-Vee. They're my go-to partner for all of our family celebrations, and Hy-Vee can help you with your graduation party planning. They have party trays, personalized cakes, cookies, floral arrangements, party decor, and so much more. Plus, you can leave all the prep work and messy cleanup to Hy-Vee with full-service catering for any size celebration. Choose from a wide range of menu options to suit your style and your budget, only at Hy-Vee.
Kubota Orange Days delivers the savings you need for the life you love. Shop a wide selection of equipment at your local dealer, including America's #1 selling compact tractor. And get your perfect match delivered to your door. Designed for comfort and built for performance. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,000 off select compact tractors. Sales ending soon. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
When you partner with CDW, your people get more out of technology. CDW AI architects deliver Microsoft services to automate tasks and boost productivity, helping sales reps connect with more customers, Remote teams collaborate seamlessly, and small businesses compete at scale. That's amazing. Make amazing happen. Microsoft and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/modernwork.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and the regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics?
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299.
Hey there, Royals fans. We've got more ways to watch your boys in blue this season than ever before with FanDuel Sports Network. Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream all the action, or, new this season, Royals Baseball is now available on Amazon Prime Video as an add-on subscription. You can also access FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers like DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Royals.com/TV to learn more.
What's up, KC? This is Matt Quattrero. On your way home from the ballpark, make sure to listen to Vern's postgame show right here on 96.5 The Fan. I will not be listening.
96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
We have been going through the Chiefs' schedule game by game, and we have talked to somebody that covers every team that the Chiefs are playing. We have 3 interviews left. We are going to head to Dallas. We are going to head to Houston. We also are going to head to Nashville. We've already done the 3 teams in the division. If you missed those interviews, be sure to check out the podcast page. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here with you guys for this wonderful 5 o'clock hour. Before we head to Dallas, we'll do that coming up in a bit. Let's talk a little bit of Royals and also a little bit of Chiefs schedule. All right. The Royals are starting to be the most straightforward and easy team to figure out. The question with the Royals every single day is, did they score enough to win? We looked at this stretch where they played 3 games against the Red Sox, a team that was over 500. 3 games against the Houston Astros, a team also over 500, a team that is usually pretty competitive in their division, a playoff team, a team that has won World Series, 2 good baseball teams. In these 6 games that they've played, they have only scored more than 3 runs 1 time over the last 6 games. They won that game. It's pretty straightforward. In this series against the Houston Astros, they scored 7 runs in a game. They won that game. They scored 1 in another game. They lost. They scored 3 last night. Well, what do you know? They lost. It's pretty simple. With some teams, usually it comes down to an individual player. Hey, how did so-and-so play? If so-and-so played pretty well, it's usually really difficult to beat that team. That's kind of how it is with the Royals. You don't got to watch the game. Just ask whoever how many runs did they score. And based on that, you don't got to know anything else about the game. You don't have to know who pitched. You don't have to know who helped score the runs. How many runs did the Royals score today? Oh, they scored 2. They lost them. I mean, that's what the numbers tell you. When the Royals score 4 or more runs, they have been virtually unbeatable this season. They're 18-1 when they do that. When they scored 3 runs or less, I mean, you can beat them, and teams pretty routinely beat them when it happens, especially the good ones. It's hard to keep beating the Astros 2-1 or the Red Sox 2-1. I mean, in that series against the Red Sox, you scored 4 runs in the series. You can win 1 game 2-1. You're not doing that consecutively. They didn't do it. They lost that series. They just lost the series against the Houston Astros. They're back home. Now, let's see what they do this weekend. This is a big weekend at Kauffman Stadium. They're celebrating the 1985 team. They're celebrating the 2015 team. I mean, they're going to have over 30,000 people for both days. They're going to have over 30,000 on Friday when they celebrate the 85 team. They're also giving out a replica 2015 World Series ring to the first 25,000 people there. So it is going to be one of their biggest promotions, one of their biggest giveaways of the year. Basically, everybody from that 2015 team is going to be in town, is going to be there. They're going to have a great weekend. I don't question any of that stuff. The Royals as a organization, they're going to have all the pomp and circumstance. The crowds are going to be there. The weather's going to cooperate. The question is very simple. Did the Royals score enough runs to win? And you don't know. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't want to bang the same drum every single day. You guys know where I stand on this. The Royals can make the postseason the way they are right now. If the Royals want to be serious about this thing, if they want to be dangerous, if they want to be able to match up against the better teams in the postseason and advance, they're going to have to do something about their offense. They're going to have to make a trade. We're at the 50-game mark, basically, for the Royals. You know what their problem is. They can't score. They couldn't score at the end of last season. They couldn't score in the postseason. They can't score in the first 45 games of this season. We know what the problem is for the Royals. Are they going to do something about their offense as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline and as you start to create and see more separation between the teams? Everybody is really bunched up now in the American League. What is going to separate you? It's going to be a team or two is going to continue to get hot or stay hot and go on a little bit of a run. The Royals have had their run. You look at Minnesota, they're in the middle of one of those runs. It's a very tight and competitive race. I don't think the Royals can win their division with the offense that they have. They can do what they did last year. They can be a wild card team. They can catch the right team in the right series. Absolutely. But if the Royals want to make a serious threat for the division, if they want to win their division, if they want to make an ALCS run or potentially get to the World Series, a lot of the things are in place. Their rotation, their bullpen, they just don't score consistently on a game-by-game basis, and that ultimately is going to be their Achilles heel.
And I think, and someone on the text line points out, hey, you guys are being unfair. Last night was probably on cue. He left Lorenzen in too long. They had a lead. They probably should have gone to the bullpen. I don't disagree with you conceptually, but I think because the Royals offense scuffles so often, every decision goes under a microscope. Remember earlier this season when we were arguing about, oh man, they lost that game in extra innings to the Brewers. Should you have gone to this bullpen guy ahead of this bullpen guy? Those sorts of moves are put under a microscope for two reasons. One, for the first time in like 10 years, we are monitoring Royals baseball on a day in, day out basis because wins and losses matter. It's not ambiguous. How are we feeling? What's the growth? It's wins and losses matter. And the second thing is, when you're only scoring 3 runs, every single decision in the bullpen, every single pinch hit, every single pinch runner, every single defensive replacement is under heightened scrutiny because now it has to work every single time because the offense isn't pulling their weight. So yes, I don't think Q managed a great game last night, but I also think that's what happens over the course of 162. And yeah, it didn't work, but it didn't work because they scored 3. That's the biggest failure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the conversation we have about margin of error. That's the conversation. If you score 13 points in a football game, you need a lot. You need everything to go right. You need the officiating to be on your side. You can't lose the turnover battle. You can't have a penalty on 3rd down that takes a first down off the board. And now what was a first down, it's now 3rd and 12, and now you get off the field. So I'm with you. They have certainly made errors these last 2 days, and Q has made some decisions. But if you score 4 runs over 2 games on the road against a team that we all think is going to make the postseason, you're just not really giving yourself a viable chance against that caliber of opponent. So they play another one of those teams this weekend in St. Louis. I told you guys, the attendance is going to be great. The weather is going to be great. So let's see what happens this weekend with the Royals. We'll get back to the Chiefs' schedule coming up here. Let me play for you guys what Mike North had to say. He is on the committee that figures out what the NFL schedule is for every team and what games are going to be on national TV and what games are not going to be on national TV. Here is what he said and the reasoning on why they picked the Chiefs and the Cowboys for Thanksgiving.
all credit for that goes to Hans Schroeder, our boss, the guy who runs the scheduling process. He had the idea kind of really early in the process, to which, of course, the rest of us said, no, you don't need to do that. We don't go big on Thanksgiving. You don't have to. But his point, kind of like we were saying before, is, we have so many good matchups. You just look at the Kansas City schedule, right? And they play Dallas, and they play Philly, and they play Washington, and Detroit, and Buffalo, and Baltimore, and so many good Chiefs games. You could afford to spend one of the big ones, and it probably doesn't get any bigger in the league right now than KC Dallas. They're the two most viewed teams in the league. That's where most of our top games, what are we, 93 of the top 100 most watched games? Good chunk of those are Cowboys and Chiefs games. Put them together, put them on Thanksgiving. Maybe we can get Taylor to sing the national anthem. We can get people involved beyond just us avid hardcore football fans who are going to watch anything.
I think the NFL is telling you that they believe that the Chiefs are the most popular show on television. I think they've passed the Dallas Cowboys in a lot of ways. And the Cowboys are a very popular team. But if you look at postseason, the Super Bowl, the games that generate the biggest noise, ratings, attention for the league, the Chiefs are usually at the center of all of those games. And this opportunity allowed the league to do something that only happens once every 8 years. The Chiefs are going to Dallas this year. We got an opportunity to put our biggest draw on our biggest regular season day. And I think the appeal of that was just too much for the league. If they can get this thing to fall in line. Now, I don't think that Taylor Swift is going to sing the national anthem, but I mean, she might. If you can get Taylor Swift to sing the national anthem so you get that crowd to come over, you got the football fan, everybody is off work, everybody is already watching the game, they're telling you they're going for a number that is astronomical. Right now, the regular season record is 42.1 million viewers for a regular season game. That was a Cowboys-Giants Thanksgiving game. They're going for 50. And if they get Taylor Swift to sing the national anthem, they're going for 60. If you can get everything to line up, and it usually does for the National Football League, they are looking to blow their own record out of the water. The NFL schedule tells you how the league feels, who they think we want to watch, what markets matter to them, what players they are counting on for this year. This is their chance to create their national television schedule. The Chiefs are constantly on television. They only have 4 games on noon. So they only have 4 games that are not going to be visible for everybody. They play 17 of them. 13 of the Chiefs games, you are not going to need Sunday ticket to watch. They're either going to be nationally standalone games, or they're going to be the 325, either Tom Brady or Tony Romo game, in which everybody has access to those games. This confirms that the 2 most popular television shows in the country are whenever the Cowboys play and whenever the Kansas City Chiefs play. They're the most polarizing teams in the league. They're the 2 teams that generate the most conversation. Those are the 2 teams that people want to see. Last cut I want to play for you guys, and then we'll head to Dallas. This is Mike North. The 2 biggest observations I had from the schedule, number 1 was about the Cowboys and the Chiefs, and number 2, the league is experimenting constantly with their international mission.
It came about reaching out to the team kind of mid-March when we sort of had our feet underneath us. We had a structure in place for the schedule. We kind of knew, where we were using some of the games, what our initiatives were going to be, what our strategy was going to be. Like we said, Hans's idea to go big on Thanksgiving, still working through some of the other deals with Netflix, YouTube, Peacock. So there were still some moving parts. But when we got into the international games, I basically reached out to all the teams and said, Vikings, you see the schedule. Pittsburgh's hosting a game in Dublin. You are a road opponent for the Steelers this year. There's a chance you could be chosen to go to Ireland. Subsequent phone call. Hey, Vikings, you're playing the Browns this year. They're hosting a game in London. You're a possible opponent to play the Browns in London this year. And it was actually Commissioner Goodell who said, you think they'd want to do both? And I said, absolutely not. No chance. But I called him. And I talked to them, and they went from open-minded to willing to kind of eager. And so kind of partnered up with them, figured out a way to innovate, try something new here. And they worked with our ops team. And I don't know all the details. I don't know if they're going to stay in Ireland after the Steelers game and then go over to the UK, or leave Ireland and go to the UK. But they're going to spend the week over there, and it'll be a good test for us.
So that was Mike North talking about the Minnesota Vikings. The league has continued to expand this international mission. At first, they did like 3 or 4 international games. Now I believe they do 7 international games. They used to just be in London. Now they got games in Mexico City. They got games in Brazil. They got games in Dublin. They got games in London. They got games in China. They got games everywhere now. Now they ask teams to stay over there for back-to-back weeks, and now they're asking teams to stay over there for 2 weeks and play in 2 different cities internationally. The league is up to something. They're about to give London something big at some point. I don't know when it is, but there's not many things that you can give them outside of regular season games. I think all of this is them trying to figure out the logistics on how they can make the Super Bowl work over there. I'm not sure when they would get it, but eventually they're just going to run into a, hey, why don't we try this? We have been building and building up to, let's give them the 2032 Super Bowl in London. We have been using a case study. We have built up this fan base internationally. Let's give them the biggest game that we can as a true neutral site game. That's what I think all of this is leading towards. Let's continue our journey through the Chiefs schedule. RJ Choppy joins us on the show to talk a little bit more about the Cowboys. RJ, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great. Super Bowl in London sounds pretty awful, but I'm doing well.
I'm 100% with you there. Let's start with this. I'm surprised that the league put Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I certainly understand the appeal of it, but you know this as well as anybody. Usually it doesn't matter what game they put on Thanksgiving because America's going to watch it anyway. It's Thanksgiving. That's what we do. We watch football. Usually they give us a Giants or a Commanders or a game that we don't really care about. The league really swung big with this one.
Man, I know you were streaming our show because I said the same thing. I said put the Raiders on, put like whoever the other, I guess it was maybe the Chargers this year come to AT&T. Usually you want to put a bad game there. You don't need, and like look at baseball, right? Nobody wants the Dodgers on opening day. Opening day is a sellout anyway. Nobody wants the Yankees on opening day. Opening day is a sellout, and you don't need to have a great team come in to Dallas to play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. You could have any run-of-the-mill team come in here. It's going to get the same number. It's going to get 30 million people watching this thing nationally because everybody's off, everybody's fat, everybody's full. They're falling asleep on the couch. They want to just watch some football. So you don't need this, but we're going to get a great game, we think, at least a great, 2 marquee team matchups. Whether it's a great game or not, who knows. But that is the middle game of, I would argue, the toughest stretch of any team in the National Football League. The Cowboys play Philly, Kansas City, and Detroit in 3 straight weeks. That's a tough stretch, and that's the middle game.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a tough stretch to me. That sounds like 0-3 for you guys.
Yeah, it does. It does. Now, they're the Cowboys. They'll find a way to win one of the games, and they'll find a way to blow one of the other ones, and then they'll just lose the other one outright. So that's just the way it is. And then they'll find a way to lose to Arizona or the Raiders at some point and blow their season. But that's a tough stretch, and I agree. They're going to be the underdogs in all the games. I look today, the look-ahead lines, outside of the home opener against the Giants, the Cowboys are not any more than a 1.5-point favorite in any game the rest of the year.
RJ, what I love about this series, and we do this every year, is usually the opposing team's guests have so much hope and they're bubbly and optimistic. Everybody's going to exceed expectations. Nobody was a fluke last year. You're the first person that comes on and like, yeah, our team might not be that good this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that I don't think they'll be that good. I just don't know what Dak Prescott's health is going to be. Like, if you tell me Dak's going to be healthy for 17 games, the Cowboys are going to be a decent team. They're going to win their 9, 10, 11 games, depending on a little bit of luck where it goes one way or the other. That's just the way it is. Dak's a good quarterback. He's not great, but he's a good quarterback, and he usually wins about 10 games. But we don't know. We don't know the health of him. There's a lot of people who are speculating that hamstring isn't healing, the way that he would hope, or at least, he says he could play a game tomorrow, but could he play 17 straight games tomorrow? I don't know. We don't know if he's going to be ready for camp, full go. Like, is he going to be a full go participant in camp? We have a lot of questions that we haven't gotten answers to. We like the offseason for the most part. I love the draft. I like the George Pickens pickup. And I actually like the hire of Brian Schottenheimer. I don't think it's going to be as disastrous as most people. He's a culture guy. He's not an X's and O's guy. He's more of a culture guy. So I don't hate the offseason. It's just a lot about Dak's hamstring and how it is.
at least my perception of the Schottenheimer hire is it just feels very uninspiring. Like, I have a belief in college football that whenever your job is open, we'll see how the rest of coaches feel about it. I mean, you look at LSU, they had an opening. They got Notre Dame's head coach. When USC was looking for somebody, they got Oklahoma's head coach. Like, if you're one of those programs, you get to swing big. You get to get who you want. The Cowboys' job, at least the perception is, hey, this is America's team. You get to coach in the best stadium. They hired Brian Schottenheimer to be their head coach. It just was a very uninspiring hire.
I totally agree. I will say this, though. The amount of people that would want to coach this team is not the same as the amount of people that the Joneses want to coach this team. The Joneses want somebody they're familiar with coaching this team. That's like if you were to ask them, their number one, they want somebody that they know, someone within, quote unquote, the family. And Schottenheimer was here with McCarthy. The Joneses don't like stepping outside their comfort level. They can say on the radio all they want. They don't mind getting uncomfortable. They do not like getting uncomfortable. They want to be Jerry's in his 80s. Like, you don't get outside your comfort zone too often when you're in your 80s. You may talk like you want to, but you really don't.
Right now, we're talking to RJ Choppy here for a couple of more minutes, getting his thoughts on the Cowboys. The Chiefs play them on Thanksgiving this year. I mentioned the over-under at 7.5 for this team. It feels like they're about that. I actually think the over is probably the smart play. I'm with you on the Cowboys. If Dak is healthy, they're a very viable team, but you don't know what his health is from a year-by-year, a game-by-game basis, and that just puts everything for the Cowboys into question.
Absolutely. Smart. If you're the smart bettor, it's a no bet. Like, it's tempting. 7.5 is a tempting number to take the over on. You're probably going to have to pay a little bit of juice. I think I saw it up to about minus 140. But look, I mean, you just can't predict Dak's health, and they don't have Cooper Rush anymore as their backup. They got Joe Milton. Ooh, I'm a Tennessee guy. I love Joe Milton, but I also know all the faults of Joe Milton, right? And I know that Joe Milton throws the most majestic 80-yard incomplete passes that you've ever seen in your life. So we don't know what's going to happen if Dak gets hurt. That's why the Cowboys over-under total bet is a no play. I just don't think you can, like, realistically have any idea what they're going to be, because you don't realistically have any idea how many games Dak is going to play.
Last thing here, how do you handicap the division? I imagine a lot of people like Philadelphia. Certainly makes sense. Not a lot of holes in that roster. There's a lot of optimism around Washington, but you and I see this all the time. A team really exceeds expectations one year, and then the next year they win 7 games, injuries happen, and now they're trying to figure things out. Do you guys think that you're a playoff team? Do you think that you're going to be back in that conversation in the NFC?
They have to be 7-3 after the Raider game to be a playoff team, in my opinion. I don't know how you can go to that stretch of 6 games where they've got Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, the Chargers, Washington, one other game in there. It's the nightmare stretch of their season. But I will say this. Philadelphia's the class of the division. Nobody repeats in this division. It hasn't happened since 2004. I'm with you on Washington. I like Washington, but we saw C.J. Stroud take a little step back last year, right? The league figures you out. He timed it for Jaden to adjust. I think a lot of people thought CJ may have been better than Jaden coming out, but even he had a step back. So I think the Cowboys are a real live second place team in the East. But this is probably as close as we've had a lot stranglehold in this division with one team, with Philadelphia, in a long time.
That is our guy, RJ Choppy, joining us on the show today. He covers the Cowboys. Thanksgiving night, it will be the Chiefs and the Cowboys in the game that I think is going to be the most watched regular season game in the history of the league. RJ, great stuff as always, man. Look forward to catching up with you closer to the fall.
Anytime, Carrington. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. That's RJ Choppy joining us on the show today. We only have 2 more stops as we are stopping by every city that plays Kansas City this year. Coming up on the other side, we will head to Houston to learn more about the Texans. Keep it right here. So drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison, your home for the best food takes in KC.
Regular old American nachos. I don't need jalapenos with mine, just chips, cheese.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan.
Gear? Check. Snacks? Check. Tires? Not so much. I didn't have time to deal with this, so I asked my friend. Her answer was simple. Take it to Telly, she said, and I'm so glad I did. They didn't just take care of my tires, they took care of me. We got you, they said, and they did. Fast, friendly, and stress-free. Now I know when life throws you a red card, take it to Telly. Stay in the game. Take it to Telly.
The other place with 5 great Kansas City locations, Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. With 5 locations, that means you're never too far away from that one-of-a-kind game day experience, plus enough big screens that you'll never miss a second of the action. And if you want some great food, some great beer specials, and beautiful patios, then stop by the other place. The perfect place to make your baseball headquarters this spring. The other place, Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. Your home for baseball this spring.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion, or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Big cash giveaway, yeah. $250,000, yes. The next 10 months, GimmeTheVin.com is giving back. Everyone that sells us their car gets put in the drawing, and monthly we're pulling out $25,000 and giving it to you. So, not only are we the top of the market buyer, but you got a chance to win $25,000. That's what we mean by big cash giveaway. GiveMeTheVin.com. They don't call us America's best car buyer for nothing.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Ring the bell. We've done it again. Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
DQ presents how to hit summer's sweet spot. The new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat menu is here. And as the official treat of MLB, we're swinging big with our fan favorite S'mores Blizzard Treat. Plus, new mixing bowl mashup with brownie batter and chocolate chip cookie dough. And even more in our Stack Summer lineup. Hurry in today because nothing says summer like baseball and our new Summer Blizzard Treat menu. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's There's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
This traffic is brought to you by Midwest Auto Services. Got a stalled out car northbound 435 just past Front Street. Got the right lane closed. Traffic heavy on northbound 435 back to 23rd Street. Got some slowdowns over the Bond Bridge northbound 35. Also northbound 71 into downtown. And the typical brake lights out of the 435 exchange on eastbound 70. Is driving your vehicle like fighting a wild bull? Does it lead, pull, or feel out of sync when you accelerate or brake? Are you replacing tires a lot due to poor wear? Let Midwest Auto Services check your alignment. Call 816-224-4247 or MidwestAutoservices.com. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Chiefs football.
You know, we talk a lot about how the Chiefs always seem to play Buffalo, and they do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they play Buffalo every year. They play Houston a lot, too. Whether it's in the regular season, whether it's in the postseason, they always run up against the Houston Texans. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by Sean Pendergast of Sports Radio 610. Sean, do you get that same sense? These two teams always seem to play each other now.
It's crazy. Well, I mean, like the schedule nerdy part of it is like, well, they're both division winners the last couple of years, and the Texans have won a couple. So that always happens. When division winners are always going to face each other. But Carrington, you're right, man. Like I was thinking about this when the schedule came out last night. I'm like, another road game on another big stage. Like this feels very familiar. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We did this twice at the end of last year in Week 16, and then again in the playoffs. So, man, I had 5 wishes, 5 requests for the schedule maker that I did in a segment earlier this week, maybe on Tuesday. And one of them was that road Kansas City game. Can't we just make it in early October at noon and just kind of off the grid? I don't need cold weather. I don't need prime time. I need to maximize the chances of winning this game. And the schedule maker, the computer, just gave me a big middle finger and said, nope, here's cold weather and here's prime time. Stop being such a wuss, Pendergast. So, yeah, but we're excited about it, man. If you're playing the Chiefs every year, it probably means you're doing something right in the regular season.
Sean, let's talk about the offensive line. That was a big story this offseason for the Houston Texans. They have traded their left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. He now plays for the Washington Commanders. Let's go through this rebuilt offensive line. That was a major problem last year. I think it was the biggest reason why C.J. Stroud didn't take a step forward. How are you guys feeling about their offensive line heading into the season?
Overall skittish right now, I would say, because we just don't know who the 5 are going to be that they're going to trot out there. They brought in a lot of new faces. They drafted Ariante Ursary in the second round, the tackle out of Minnesota, who was obviously a very good college player. We'll see how he adapts to the pros. He's going to play tackle. The reason I specify he's going to play tackle is because it feels like every guy they have in that room can play multiple positions. This will truly be a case of them trying to find who the 5 best guys are through training camp. The only ones that I think you could put even remotely close to being in ink would be Cam Robinson, the tackle that they signed from Minnesota to replace Laramie Tunsil. They signed him to a 1-year deal. And then Titus Howard, who's been there for a long time, has played guard and tackle. We don't know what he's going to play yet, but he'll be part of whatever that 5 looks like. And then after that, it's a lot of young players and journeymen. They needed to tear down the offensive line. Like, it was a bad group last year, and a lot of people are wondering, why is Laramie Tunsil one of the guys they got rid of? He's one of the best pass protectors in football, and that's true. Not a great run blocker, and not that he's a bad locker room guy, but he is a position of leadership, just not the sort of dog that you want in there. And I do think there was a part of the Texans that felt like they needed to get a different attitude in that offensive line room. So I think through hopefully better coaching and just a better vibe in that room, that line should perform better. They can't do much worse than they did last year protecting C.J. Stroud.
Sean, there are 2 steps that every NFL team needs to take. You go from being bad to being a good team. That's certainly where Houston is. Now it is the going from good to being a great team. The Chiefs were in this. They were a good team. They traded for Patrick Mahomes. They became a great team. They became a dynasty. You guys feel like you are stuck a little bit in that good category. I'm looking at the offense. it feels very similar to last year. Do you guys feel like you're ready to take that step from being a 9-10 win team to being a 12-13 win team that can really compete in the AFC?
I don't know. I mean, it's the defense is there. I mean, that is a 13 and 14 win defense that they built, Carrington, but the offense just has so many question marks right now. It would be blind faith for me to tell you that the offensive line is going to get to the level they need to get to be a 13-win team. Like 13 wins in the NFL, as you guys know, because it feels like the Chiefs win at least 13 every year. I mean, it's a razor-thin margin for error, and I just don't know that offensively right now until we see that offensive line play, until we see what these young receivers do. That's the other thing with this team is they lost Stephon Diggs in free agency. They lost Tank Dell probably for this season. That injury took place in that Kansas City game last year. He's probably done for this season, too, coming back from that knee injury. So they're relying pretty heavily on a couple of receivers they drafted in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, the two kids out of Iowa State. And they traded for Christian Kirk. So there's questions on that offense that go beyond just the offensive line. So till I see what that looks like, I can't say that they're ready to take that jump to being that type of team. I think they've definitely got a chance to improve over last year because I think the schedule lays out better for them than it did last year in terms of just when the games are played and how many primetime games are being played and so forth. But getting to the level you're talking about, I can't get there yet until I see exactly who the five are that they're trotting out on the offensive line in week one.
Right now, we're talking to Sean Pendergast of Sports Radio 610 in Houston, taking a closer look at the Houston Texans. Injuries were such a major part of the year last year for Houston. Where are you guys at from an injury perspective heading into next year?
Pretty good. I mean, well, Tank Dell, as I just mentioned, Tank's not going to play this year, so that's a big one. But hopefully, some of these other guys they brought in can kind of pick up the slack for Tank not being there. But outside of that, pretty good. C.J. Stroud finished last season probably a little banged up, but he's healthy. Will Anderson Jr. healthy. He was a little banged up last year. Derek Stingley Jr. made it through all 17 games last year, which was one of the big surprises. He's been dealing with injuries prior to last year since he was at LSU. So overall, pretty good. They're healthy right now, but the health in season is huge. Nico Collins is a big one. Nico misses, it feels like, at least 3 or 4 games. Last year, he missed 5 games with a hamstring. They cannot afford to miss Nico Collins. Outside of C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins is the most valuable player on that offense. So they're healthy now, but talk to me, come week 4 or week 5 or obviously week 14 when the Texans visit you guys.
Let's talk more about the quarterback position in C.J. Stroud. This is the conversation that we had on our show a week or so ago. I think the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL are locked in. We can disagree on the order potentially, but it's between Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, in my opinion. Now, the 5th spot feels open to me, and you can make a case for a lot of quarterbacks. Do you feel like your guy, do you feel like C.J. Stroud is in that conversation to being a top 5 quarterback in the league right now, or is he somebody that you still need to see more?
I think he's perfectly capable of being there. I think there were arguments that in his rookie year that he was right there among the top 5 quarterbacks. I mean, a lot of people don't remember because it was such an up-and-down year for the Texans last year, but his rookie year, he threw 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He was outstanding his rookie year, and that was dealing with all kinds of injuries on the offensive line and in the receiving core as well. Certainly what he did last year is not good enough to get in that neighborhood, but we've seen that level of play out of C.J. Stroud, Carrington. So, yeah, I think with the type of season he had his rookie year as opposed to last year, he's 100% in the conversation. And then a lot of time, there needs to be team success to go along with that. All those guys you just mentioned have at least made a run to an AFC title game. C.J. Stroud and the Texans as a franchise have not done that yet.
Last thing here, let's handicap the AFC South. It always feels like that the rest of us kind of disregard the division, but it usually ends up being weirdly competitive. Every team in the division feels like they are going through a little bit of a transition aside from Houston. It feels to me that it will be a major disappointment if Houston once again doesn't win that division.
Yeah, it'll be. I think so. I think there's a big bet in Jacksonville being made on Liam Cohen being able to get Trevor Lawrence to a level that we've seen him get to infrequently throughout. Other than the stretch at the end of his second year where he won a bunch of games and got him to the playoffs, Trevor Lawrence hasn't been even remotely close to worth the money that they're paying him. Cam Ward, obviously a big variable in the division. You know, if he's a rookie like C.J. Stroud was a couple years ago, the Tennessee Titans get a little frisky. And then the Colts, I think the Colts have a good roster, but quarterback is a mess there with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. It would take something major to happen with the Texans, I think probably injury-wise, for them to not win this division again. Those other teams, I think saying that those teams are in a state of transition is being kind. The Texans, I think, are just clear-cut the best team in the AFC South.
And that is our guy, Sean Pendergast, joining us on the show. He does mornings for Sports Radio 610. He is one of the best sports talk hosts in the country. Sean, I look forward to having you on the show whenever the Rockets trade for Kevin Durant.
I look forward to it. You got my number, Carrington. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. That's our guy, Sean Pendergast, joining us on the show. Coming up, we have one team left, the Tennessee Titans. They have the #1 overall pick. We'll head there next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the 965 YouTube channel. The Drive, brought to you by DM Entry Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Entry Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5, The Fan.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Wendy's has this new Cajun Crunch chicken sandwich. And to be honest, I'm kinda crushing hard on this Sammy. It's packed with bold Cajun flavors and topped with crispy onions for a satisfying crunch. All on Wendy's iconic spicy chicken sandwich. It's honestly kind of my dream sandwich. I hope it likes me back. For a sandwich you'll love, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education. But that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
For over 8 years, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain, with over 50,000 satisfied patients. People with knee and back pain now living pain-free. Shoulder and hip pain gone. What they're doing is nothing short of remarkable. They're using regenerative cell therapy to restore the tissue in their achy joints. They're using biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life. The best part, with QC Kinetics, there are no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. It's an all-natural cellular level option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoy this summer without being slowed down by that awful joint pain in your knees or your back. Call QC Kinetics now and learn about these cutting-edge treatments that can help you live your best life. Call 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. It's QC Kinetics. Why do other agents have such a hard time selling your property? It's because they don't know how to price it correctly. But we know someone who does. Dawn Sharp and her team. Experience the Dawn Sharp team difference for yourself. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Google them at Sharp Homes Team or pay them a visit at homesforsaleandkc.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
New Harley-Davidson starting at $99 a month at Rawhide Harley. Over 600 Harleys in stock. Only $99 a month for a brand new Harley-Davidson at Rawhide Harley. Visit rawhideharley.com.
Payments based on Nightster models and base color with 30% down, 84-month term, 6.99% APR with approved credit. Doesn't include freight, setup, tax, title, and license fees. See dealer for details.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs From voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery. So he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
This traffic is brought to you by the Kansas City Winelson Plumbing Trade Show this Friday, May 16th, 10 to 2 at the Boulevard Drive-In. Got a multi-car crash southbound 35 at Shoto Trafficway. That is closing the right lane. Got a stalled out car, stopping traffic 169 highway northbound just past Richards Road. And a two-car crash on the Kansas side, K10 westbound, just past Renner Road. Looking at slowdowns into downtown northbound 35 and out of downtown eastbound 70. Are you in the plumbing trade or a hands-on DIYer? Don't miss the Kansas City Winelson Plumbing Trade Show this Friday, May 16th, 10 to 2 at the Boulevard Drive-In. 25 vendors from top brands like Gree HVAC Equipment on-site showcasing their products and giving expert advice. Come enjoy a free lunch. Details at winelsonkc.com. I'm Lori Pierce at 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
We have one team left. We have gone around the National Football League. We have stopped on the team that had the number one overall pick in last year's NFL draft. Easton Freeze joins us on the show from A to Z Sports as we take a closer look at the Tennessee Titans. Easton, how you doing today, my man?
Look at y'all, saving the best for last. I'm great. Of course, I'm talking about myself and not the Titans. Who knows how good they're going to be.
Easton, I'm going to tell you this. You have the best name of anybody we've ever had come on this show.
Well, thank you. I didn't choose it, but I do thank my parents for it periodically because I get that compliment a lot.
All right, so there's a lot to talk about, but you guys got the number one overall pick. What's the hype? What's the excitement level for Cam Ward as he is entering the NFL?
However high you think it is higher. There has been an ever-present mutiny so far for more Cam Ward content from camp. However much the Titans put out on social media is not enough in the eyes of the fan base. They are insatiable for good reason, because it's super exciting to get a franchise quarterback and to get a guy who is the clear number one overall pick in a class. And Cam Ward's just got that cool factor to him, man. Whether or not he's going to work out in the NFL is a separate question. But he is somebody that is easy to root for. He's a guy that when you hear him speak, he's easy to believe in, to buy into. And, you know, the highlights at the very least are exciting enough to make you believe again. So it's a positive time here in Nashville.
I'm not here telling you that I think the Titans are going to be good this season, but I do think there is a pathway for them surprising some people. Like if you look at their offense, if Cam Ward ends up being a good quarterback, you got Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, you add Tyler Lockett. I mean, there's a little bit of room here for the Titans to kind of surprise some people this year.
I agree. And obviously it has to all come together, but I think, you know, the cause for optimism is whenever you add a high caliber, high pedigree quarterback to a team, no matter how bad the team is, there's always that mystery box factor of what if they're just the man? And what if they're awesome right away? And everybody knows that a great quarterback dramatically changes your team no matter how many other holes you have. We saw it with 2 years ago, all the talk of C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love revolutionizing their squads, coming on strong in their first years as starters. And then last year we saw what Jaden Daniels did for Washington. So the quarterback alone can do that. We know that. Aside from him, I do think, and I'm somebody that has kind of beat that drum here in Nashville of the offense last year was bad, but not nearly as bad as you think it was. And, you know, there's a lot of underlying metrics that point to that. Something I found today randomly, they lost 23 EPA, 23 expected points last year on aborted snaps, which led the league by a quadrillion points. So just weird things where they were giving away points and constantly shooting themselves one toe at a time. If that stops, they're going to be a lot better. Maybe not good, but a lot better. And then the offensive line, I think, is the key to all of it, especially when you have a rookie quarterback, right? If you can protect that guy and make him comfortable back there, that goes so far for these young guys. And they have invested heavily, went and signed the most expensive tackle on the free agent market. They have a first-round pick in J.C. Latham, who's going to be entering his second year. Peter Skoronski, a former first-round pick on that offensive line, went and signed Kevin Zeitler from the Lions, who's a stalwart career guard who is just as steady as they get. And then Wood Cushenberry, who they gave a lot of money to in free agency last year, coming back from injury. If those guys can gel in a hurry under the tutelage of Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan's dad, who his reputation precedes him as one of the greatest offensive line coaches and developers of all time. If he can get those guys working, I think there is reason for excitement. Now, who's catching the passes? We'll see. There's Calvin Ridley and a pair of rookies and some guys that you're hoping break out, and that group may be a little bit insufficient this year. But you look again to the Commanders, the way that they did it last year. They had Terry McLaurin and a bunch of misfit toys, too, and they made it work because the quarterback was awesome. So that's what the Titans fans are hoping for.
Last thing here, Easton, the Titans over-under is 5.5. You taking the over or the under?
I am taking the over, and it's partially due to the faith in Cam Ward and this team getting better. But I also I don't know, man. It's hard to lose that many games. Like, it's hard to win less than 5 games. To be a bottom feeder, and Titans fans know this firsthand last year, to get the first overall pick, which they were not in position to get the first overall pick until the very last minute of the end of the season, you have to have a lot of things go your way with other teams winning and losing. And you also have to get uniquely unlucky, like multiple weeks in a row. You have to be really bad and unlucky. There are a lot of bad teams that still manage to win 4, 5, 6 games. So I think that they will, if anything, fall backwards into 6 wins this year.
That is Easton Freeze joining us on the show today. He's with A to Z Sports in Nashville. The Titans have the number 1 overall pick, but you know what? Sounds like there's some optimism in Nashville. Easton, man, great stuff. We appreciate you.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Easton Freeze joining us on the show today. I kind of like the Titans roster. The Titans got a sneaky 6-win team. It's sneaky. I don't think they're real contenders or anything, but step one, I think, to turning things around is they at least got guys on their team that you know and you've heard of before. You're like, oh, I remember him. Yeah, I remember him. He was pretty good with this other team. Now, I think a lot of it comes down to they got to get their defense right. You didn't get anything from L'Jarius Sneed last year. You had a couple of other picks, but this Titans team, especially in that division, there's going to be a team in that AFC South that just wins more games than you think. Why can't it be the Titans? We had a lot of fun today. Be sure to check all of the interviews. If you want to hear about any of the teams that are on the Chiefs schedule, they got a lot of good teams on their schedule. Be sure to check out the podcast page. No Royals game today. You know what I want you guys to do? Don't tell anybody to listen to the show. Watch 1/4 of the NBA today. 1/4 of the NBA. And I'm telling you, you'll watch it and be like, man, you know what? This isn't that bad. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve.